acknowledgement. In the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge that the land upon which we gather is unceded Mi'kmaq territory, Epikwit, Prince Edward Island. Mi'kmaq is covered by the historic treaties of peace and friendship. We pay our respects to the indigenous Mi'kmaq people who have occupied this fair island of ours for over 12,000 years, past, present, and future. Called order. Any declarations of conflict of interest?
No.
No? Councilor McCabe, good?
I'm good. I'm just not seeing anything right now.
Is Rory here? Just going to get that checked into.
No, it's enabled.
You can do it.
No, it's enabled now.
It's
You should
enabled.
be able to see it.
Can you see it now? Councilor McCabe?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Thank you, Rory. Okay, number 3, approval of agenda. I think we have a change in the agenda because of Wayne Long's agenda for this evening, both him and Charlotte. Do you want to bring it up there, Councillor Bernard?
Sure, Your Worship. Yeah, just to want to, they're there, they're in Halifax on a conference, and so they've got appointments that later on this evening, so they have about an hour. So we were asking them to move them to the top of the agenda if we could, Your Worship.
Good to go? Green light?
Yep.
Good? Councillor McCabe?
Yes.
Councillor
Yes.
Brown? Okay, so just go to, okay, hold on. Need approval of the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good. Councillor McCabe and Councillor
In
Dron?
favor?
No problem. Okay. So the item is 26, 27, City of Charlottetown Operational Budget Review. And if you go to page 8 of your digital copy, you'll see Economic Development, Tourism, and Culture. Is that where we want to start, Amy, or do you want to, or John, Councillor McAleer, do you want to start there first, or what's your preference?
Yeah, no, thank you, Councillor Brown. Just wanted to say, welcome everybody this evening. We're at part 2, I guess, of preparing the 2026-27 city budget. We did the capital the other night. Just wanted to not go through, but we've been talking at committee yesterday with CAO and on our committee. Just wondered, if we could improve and talk about a process for tonight. Things that we'll present the operating budget this evening. And so there were some, you received an email from Brad. I think he did a good job of setting up how we'll do our process on this evening. And just wanted to confirm or just say on that, not to read it all because you've all received it. Trust you're familiar with the format this evening. And just want to reiterate that in a paragraph from that, there will be ample opportunity throughout the presentation for council to ask clarifying questions. Please note, however, that the presentation is not intended to be a line-by-line review of the operational budget, as the majority of expenditures remain status quo in nature. Instead, the focus will be on explaining key drivers, variances, and pressures, and exploring the proposed new initiatives in greater detail. And just another general comment, in preparing and working, on this budget process personally and with the committee, I've just been thinking about, we're with this Municipal Government Act, this municipalities can't have deficit budgets, and when you look at the, the various provincial budgets that have come down over the last number of weeks and months, and the big deficit and bracket numbers, and then when you look at the lens and the process that we have to do as a municipality, we have to have a balanced budget, and I'm thinking that's not such a bad thing. It's really focuses you in on your like the capital budget. There was discussion and things we had to make. We couldn't do everything. And on the operational side tonight, revenue, I mean, we don't collect any revenue. The province collects it all, and we get a share. So on this operational side, the impact is, you have limited revenue, and you've got a whole lot of new initiatives, and something has to give to balance your budget. And so this evening we'll get started on that process, and look forward to the discussion and questions. And I'll hand it off to Amy to get us started.
Yeah, not yet. Just one sec. We got a couple of questions. But I guess, Councillor McAleer, that's why they say that municipalities are, and the laws that we follow are creatures of provincial legislation. So they dictate to what we can do. But Councillor Beck, Councillor McKinnon.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on, just talking about the process we have with the capital budget, and I was the lone dissenting voice, I guess, if we will, the other night when we approved our capital budget. And I just want to clarify with people that I don't want that to be construed as any slight of the work that is being done by our finance department, by our respective managers in our various departments who are identifying the needs that we have and where it is recommended to be spending our money. My level of consternation came about the fact that we were dealing with, we're here on March 18th, whatever the date is today, March 19th. We were scheduled to meet on the following day, which would have been Tuesday. We were scheduled to meet tonight. And my request the other night would have been that we take some bit of time to sort of absorb what we heard, because we hear a lot of information. We're talking about I forget the total number, $97 million. We receive a document, and I understand the pressures. I understand all the background that led to us. So I get all that. I don't have to, I want to be cognizant of that as well too. But I think that kind of speaks to our need to take that little bit of time. And maybe what we do is we agree, if I reflect back on the other night, maybe we could have agreed in principle to the capital budget. And then if we had any questions that came back, we would have had tonight's meeting, we would have had whatever, and then we could officially approve it. I think when we're talking about making approval of significant amounts of money in a very short period of time, I think taking that little bit extra step is not an imprudent one to be taken. So I just wanted to clarify that with people as to why it wasn't dissension amongst what was being recommended or that sort of thing. I just think that it's important that we have that extra time. I recognize I'm one of 10 votes, and I was outvoted, and that's okay. I'll live with that. But I think it's important when we're going forward. Here we are today. We've just received the operational budget, and there's going to be a lot of information coming at us again tonight in terms of where do we spend it, what do we cut, because there's all sorts of give and take that's going to have to be taking place over the next little while.
Okay.
So anyway, that's just a little bit of background.
But as was said by the chair of the Standing Committee for Finance and Administration, most of the budget is status quo. So what we went through last year is mostly reflected in this budget, correct, Councillor McAleer?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Councillor McKinnon?
Thank you, Your Worship. Do we need to stand or do we? Okay. I know we got an email last night from the CAO about the process, and the chair just mentioned about the process of how this is going to unfold here today. For myself, we just got the package this afternoon. I didn't have any opportunity to go through this. I would personally prefer that we could go line by line. If it's status quo, just say status quo, but anything new, be touched upon. I really like the process that we had the other night. It eliminated all questions as they discussed each line item, and we got out of here in pretty good record time, I felt. So I'd like to see the same thing.
Okay, so Amy, John, well, we let Amy start with her presentation. Yep. Okay, good. Is that all right, John?
Yeah, and Councilor McKinnon, I appreciate your comments. I did think the capital budget went well the other night, but based on what we have in front of us here today, as Chairman of Finance, I'd like to see us stick to the agenda and the process we have for this evening, and that's not to say that it can't be changed in other budgets or presentations. However, like I said, as what I read, anything you want to talk about is open for discussion. So,
Okay, thank you. Okay, Amy? Please, thank you. Amy and Isaac's with you also, correct? Thank you. Go ahead, Amy.
Good evening, council members, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, CAO. As mentioned previously, that I'm just going to start with a very brief overview of the operating budget as you were presented earlier today. I will give a little bit of detail, as much as allowed, because I want the managers the opportunity to go into their departments in more detail as required, which they can better answer your questions. But if there's anything that you would like to see, please let us know. Isaac and I do have access to more information that we can bring up for you if need be. I'll do a brief overview, and then unless we want to go right to Wayne, okay? But we'll make sure he's up next. So starting with the City of Charlottetown, looking at revenues. So we're just going to be focusing right now on the revenues as they stand without any new initiatives presented, and then we'll talk about the new initiative section after. So looking at our 2026-2027 budget for revenues, we're currently projecting just short of $99 million to come in versus a current forecast of $89.966 and a budget for this fiscal of $89,946. Main drivers in that increase, so year over year, property tax. Property tax is coming in at $52,916. This is to account for the increased assessment values, increased year-over-year rate with the CPI increase, as well as anticipating the number of properties that will be available for assessment in the new year. The current forecast is what we know is listed on the provincial government website. If there's any changes after that before now in the year-end audit documents, we're not privy to that information. Provincial grants, jumping from 26,122, from 23,842 for a forecast, and 23,824 for a budget. The provincial grant, as outlined in our municipality funding agreement, the rate per 100 is jumping from 63 cents to 65 cents. Planning is down slightly versus last year's budget of 4,767, coming in an expected new budget of 3.99, currently forecasting a 3.8. Main difference in that is the permits are not what we initially budgeted them to be this time last year. Otherwise, everything is status quo. No change to parkades. That's static across budget forecast and the new budget. Police revenues, we're seeing a little bit of a decline versus forecast in this year with the drop in tickets and fines. which is actually a positive note, as it's showing more compliance within our residents. Economic development, tourism, and culture. The big jump in that is due to the increase in the tourism levy, accommodation levy from 3 to 4%, which has resulted in a $250,000 increase over forecast and budget. That will be offset by expenses further down, but I'll let Wayne get into that. Parks and Recreation, revenues are showing just over $1 million versus a forecast of 973 and an original budget of 876. This is factoring in some potential increases for rentals for arenas, parks, halls, etc. The municipal capital expenditure grant is up to 5.625 versus a forecast and budget of 4.5. This is a 10% rebate that we get back on our capital expenditures, which we've increased to show the increase in planned capital expenditures. Since we are not at 100% purchase of all of our capital, this is just an estimate. Obviously, we're not going to do the full 100% if we've never been at 100% for capital purchases in a fiscal year. And last is other revenue. So other revenue is kind of made up of multiple different things. We have the tourism levy fee in there from the accommodation levy. We also have rent for various properties. There's some interest revenue, investment income. That's also where the money from the agreement with Atlantic Lottery resides. But the big chunk is coming from the the environment, sustainability, and transit, to reflect the new agreement that's currently being negotiated, where all fares will now flow through to the municipality versus a cost share that was with the operator before. So that's over $2 million. Again, that's going to be offset by increased expenses down below, but I'll let the manager get into that level of detail. So we're looking at, with our proposed budget of 26-27, we're looking at a 10% increase in revenues across versus forecast as well as budget. Any questions on revenue before I proceed to expenses?
Looks good.
Okay.
Okay.
So jumping into expenses, again, I'm not going to go into too much detail here, as we'll go into the individual departments, but city and government, which encompasses the CAO's office, strategic planning, communications, as well as IT. We're seeing a jump there to 4.823 up from a forecast of 4.6 and a budget of 4.6. That has to do with some increased costs for solicitation, strategic planning, as well as an innovation task force, but we'll go into more detail later. So that's a 5% increase over forecast and budget. Environment and sustainability, again, is coming in at 6.831 versus a forecast of 4.294 and a budget of 4.255. Again, that large substantial jump is the increased expenses that we're expecting to see with the new transit contract. Economic development, going up to 5.822 from a forecast of 5.233 and a budget of 5.337. That's the additional 250,000. That's offset by the increase in the tourism accommodation levy above. Fire is sitting at a budget of 6.472 versus a forecast of 6.355 and a budget of 6.455. Basically status quo with a little fluctuation in supplies and salaries. Human resources, sorry? Oh, sorry, I skipped one. My apologies. Finance, audit, and fiscal services, coming in at 27.327 million versus a forecast of 24.733 and a budget of 25.787. The main drivers in that are increased depreciation expense as well as our interest expenses. We've recently taken on a large amount of long-term debt. I did fire. Human resources. A new budget of 1.579 versus a forecast of 1.493, which is also the original budget. increased expenses in there mainly for contract negotiations, as well as an increased fee for our payroll software. Mayor and council, no change from forecast, slight decrease in, from the 2025 budget. That's mainly due to some unspent expenses. Parks and Recreation, new budget of 5.970 versus a forecast of 5.452 and a budget of 5.474. Increased costs as well as inflation. Planning, 3.074, a forecast of 2.526, and a budget of 3.278. The bulk of that is delayed hiring, as well as just some under-budget expenditures. Police is a budget of 15.64 versus a forecast of 15.423, and a original budget of 15.932, down slightly in forecast due to some vacant positions within the department. The intent with the budget is that those positions will be filled, as well as some increased expenses for clothing and boots. And Public Works and Municipal Buildings, a new budget of 21.026, a forecast right now of 18.990 versus an original budget of 20.54. Again, Public Works, we're looking at under expenditures, also some vacant positions in there. The assumption with the 2026-27 budget is that we'll be fully staffed. One point I will make that I should have said before I started operating expenses is that every department is accounted for a inflation with regards to electricity, fuel, and CPI. We used a 7% increase to accommodate an expected increase from Maritime Electric for electricity, a 10% fuel increase based on current trends for pricing, and a 2% increase for CPI. So that's across the board in all departments. So we're looking at a proposed operating expenses of $99,430,024 versus a forecast of $89,969 and a budget of $94,445. So we're up about 6% over budget for this current fiscal, and we're up 11% from forecast. That's going to result in a projected surplus of negative $2,800, and which is also similar to the, sorry, that's a carry forward from the forecast. We're looking at static for the forecast, slight deficit of $2,800 versus original budgeted deficit for 2025-26 at $615,000. Our current projected deficit for the 2026-27 year for the city is negative $433,292. Any questions on the city before I move into water and sewer? Okay.
Keep going. Oh, Councillor Twill, didn't see you there, Councillor Twill, go ahead.
So, your outline here for city government, you went through it. Each committee, standing committee, had the opportunity to participate and arrive at the numbers you're presenting here today. Would have been advanced to finance. Did finance differ, the finance committee differ, the finance department differ from what each committee submitted to the finance department and finance committee? Was there any differentials that were changed? That's my first question.
To the chair through to Councillor Twill. Unfortunately, I can't really speak to that as that was before my time. So the information that was on the budget sheets with the managers, I can only assume that was presented to the respective chair of each department. But there wasn't much changes. There was a few changes after the fact when we brought in forecasted numbers. As the forecast, the 2026, 2027 budget was structured around what we were forecasting for this year. So that did impact some items with the budget.
I appreciate that you just arrived. So can someone here clarify that for me? Each committee met through the capital, through the operational, submitted them to, plenty of time, submitted it to the finance department, finance committee. Was there any changes made by finance department, finance committee that is different, whether it be substantial or minor changes? I just trying to understand the process, very interested in the process, and how that unfolded, right? So can someone here speak to that?
Councillor McAleer?
If I'm understanding of what I believe you're asking, Councillor Twill, is the 25, 26 department numbers, I guess, year to date. I mean, we do have what was projected and where we are to date. Are you asking if any of those are different? And if they are, why?
No, that's not what I'm asking. We all went through a process at the standing committee levels. I chair Public Works. I sit on Environment Sustainability, Economic Development, Tourism. Okay, we went through the process. We discussed what we agreed upon at that level for both operational and for capital, and it was submitted to the finance department, the finance committee. So were those numbers that were submitted to finance committee and the finance department, are they reflected specifically? Are they reflected, or was any changes made
Councillor McAleer?
at the finance department or at the finance committee? I know the committees met, senior management, CAO, all hands are on deck. You go through the numbers, you crunch the numbers. Was there any changes made? Usually what happens if there's any changes made, it comes back to the standing committee for further deliberations. So were there any changes made at the finance department, finance committee, any substantial changes or any changes for that matter? And who was involved in that? And what was the recourse for the budgets that were submitted, operational, capital, for this year? It's just, it's a
Well, we
reasonable
went through
question.
capital, so we're just talking about operational.
Well,
We
do you know
already
what?
passed-
Do you know what?
Yeah, no, I know what.
Yeah, well,
We're dealing with the
capital
operational budget.
Okay.
Councillor
Did you
McAleer?
want,
No, let him answer.
okay,
Go
let
ahead.
me finish. Okay, we go through a process. We've met early, like we met early. We did our due diligence. Each committee met, managers, assistant managers, all relevant personnel that works in these respective departments participated in the process. So I just want to know, before we go any further, were there any changes made? And if they were, what were they? I'm just looking for,
Can you answer, Councillor?
you outlined the, what's presented here, but I wanted to know, were there any changes made?
Councillor McAleer?
Yeah, I'm going to pass off to the CAO, but Councillor Twill, I referenced 25, 26. You're talking 26, 27 budget, right? That's correct. Okay, yeah. So there was, there was a process. There was some back and forth with it for sure, but I'll let the CAO be more specific, I guess, in terms of hoping to get an answer for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. CAO?
Thank you, Your Worship. Through to Councillor Twill, there certainly is a process. Committees and department heads are, bring their their operationals forward through finance, through their committees with their year-end projections and the forecast for next year, adjusted by, cost of living allowances and such things as fuel and those variables. Then there's new initiatives identified through the process. And those are prioritized within the committee level and forwarded on for council here tonight to decide on. Your question is broad, but I can say that I'm not aware of any fundamental changes or that have taken place through that process. And certainly, as it was indicated before, the municipality works from a status quo perspective, adjusted by inflation, and then identifies new initiatives for the approval of council. And that's why we're here tonight.
Okay. Can we go to the next? Charlottetown Water and Sewer?
Thank you, Your Worship. So the revenue for Charlottetown Water and Sewer, we're looking at for budget 26-27, just over 17 million versus a forecast of 16.144 and a budget of 16.052. That's looking at the number of the increased rate as well as the number of water meters that we've since put in place and are still, I believe, in the process. This is offset by expenses of, again, just over 17 million for 26-27. We're looking at a lot less expenses for the 25-26 year, just 13.83 versus a budget of 16.33. We'll get into that level of detail later, but that is generating what we're expecting as a surplus for ending 25-26 year. So as it stands right now, with the 26-27 budget for water and sewer, we're anticipating a small deficit of just short of 17,000. With the anticipated carry forward, we're expecting from the surplus of this fiscal. Overall, we're looking at a number for 26-27 net of any carry forward of 2,389,762. Right.
That's the surplus.
That's surplus.
Consolidated.
Yeah. That's,
Okay,
yes,
Council-
that is for both the city and water and
water.
sewer together.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what is it for water? What's a surplus for water? It's a different corporation, right? The Water and Sewer Department is a different corporation than city government. So is a surplus, what am I reading here? Projected surplus, or surplus, is it $2,409,477?
Exactly.
Okay, so, and what was it last year?
96.
So why the dramatic increase in
Good
surplus?
management.
What?
Good management.
If you don't mind, sir, I'm asking you to answer a
Saying to her
question.
right there, sir. Thank you, sir.
Your Worship, and sorry not to interrupt, but I think some of this detail is to be flushed out at the committee as we go through them,
Yeah.
get to those.
Oh, I thought since Amy's giving the presentation here, I mean, she's showing the numbers. I thought we could ask them right now.
They're just broad stroke numbers. Right now, we're going to be going through the budget. You'll see more detail as we go through. That's the budgetary process.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Deputy?
Yeah, and I know we'll get into this when we go through the different departments, but I didn't notice any new initiatives. Does that, am I to understand that there were no new initiatives put forward by the water and sewer staff and committee? Question, I guess, through his worship to Amy?
Thank you to His Worship through to Deputy Mayor. That is correct.
Good. Okay. Councilor McAleer, can we move to Economic Development, Tourism, Festival Events, page 8? That's the digital page, page 8. Just go to that. Do you want to take it first there, Councilor Bernard? You're the chair?
Sure, yeah. Your Worship, Economic Development, Tourism and Culture, we submitted a status quo budget. It is up a couple of $100,000. That's due to us hosting the Scottish Tournament of Hearts in 2027. And Your Worship, just some good news that came in yesterday. And our committee knows about this. I think everybody should know. Athletes Can announced yesterday that Charlottetown has been selected as the official host city for the 2027 Athletes Can Forum and Canadian Sport Awards, scheduled for the fall of 2027. The forum will bring together Canada's national team athlete representatives on the East Coast for an immersive leadership experience designed to empower athletes to drive meaningful change in the sports system. The Canadian Sport Awards will kick off the weekend, celebrating the achievements and contributions of Canada's sport community. So the Athletes Can Forum is the largest and most inclusive gathering of Canada's national team athletes outside of competition. So, Your Worship, that's another one that the team had landed. And so we have the Scotty Tournament of Hearts in 27, and now we'll have this one in the fall of 27 also. So, but back to the budget, like I say, it's status quo only for the $200,000 extra for the Scottish Tournament of Hearts. Thank you.
Do you want Mr. Long or Charlotte to add anything to that, sir? You're all right. Good to go? Green? Green light? Good? Any questions? Okay, Councillor Twill.
I want to go back to the tourism levy. And I want to discuss that a little more specifically. I understand it, but I want to go back to the tourism levy. There was an increase in the tourism levy. And the levy, are we talking surf, or was that just the levy where the industry had lobbied the committee and council for an increase? Went from, I think it was it 3 to 4? So is a result of that increase in the tourism levy, like there wasn't supposed to be a cost, like the cost is not towards a taxpayer, that is a contribution they're making collectively to help with marketing and promoting the industry 365 days of the year. So there's an increase in the tourism levy, but the city itself is not taking advantage of that increase in the tourism levy. Is that correct?
That's correct. We're not taking advantage of it.
Okay, the only thing we're involved with is the administration.
That's correct. That's correct. So it was increased from 3 to 4%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was that big of an increase, to be honest with you.
Well, we had our meetings here.
I know.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was,
You were on the committee.
I know that,
Yeah,
but
so it was 3, and they asked for it to be increased to 4.
to 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we
And again,
approved-
the
we approved
increase
that.
is, I know Amy referenced it. What was the increase again? How
3 to
much?
4%.
No, I know, but in terms of dollars.
It looks here like 250,000. If I
250.
got that right. Do I have that right, Amy? Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Do we charge anything for the administration, Councillor Bernard?
There always was an administrative fee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
To Chair, to Councillor Twill and to Councillor Bernard, there is an administration fee, and that's captured under other revenue.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Picard.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just for the purpose of following along and knowing where we're at, when we're reviewing a particular budget, for instance, environment sustainability, and we're saying a lot of it just status quo with the exception of the Scottish term curling. But also on page 3, we have the new initiatives that are being recommended. Is those budgets put into that budget as well on that page? Can I assume that's in there for the things that are listed as yes? Or is that yet to be added and then going to increase the cost of those budgets even more?
Yeah, I think as we go through this, you'll see where it'll have the new initiative, it'll have the line there. So for us, for economic development, there's a new initiative of $81,000. So if council agrees, that will be added to it.
So there's different new initiatives as you go down through the line items.
Okay. I'm
Good.
Your
not
worship,
seeing that, but I'll catch up here.
if I could just add, I think, just to add some clarity to it, what we're going through now, Councilor Matart, does not include the new initiatives.
Does
New
not?
initiatives, no.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
Yeah.
So it does not include, okay.
Not yet.
So that's yet to be put on top of what we're, although you're saying, Councilor Bernard, I'm just using you because you went first, is you're indicating that your budget is status quo, with the exception of, you mentioned one thing, but it could be, if we accept all of those initiatives, it's going to increase that budget even more.
Yeah, so the information you have at the very start of it, you'll see the new initiatives and you'll see
Yeah.
what they're recommending. So
I see that, yeah,
so
but
if
I-
that gets passed, you'll
Yeah.
see that the figure there of 81,721 for economic development officer, that would be added if council agrees.
Okay,
Okay.
that was my question, thank you.
Yeah. But my understanding is, at the end of the day, the surplus that we have, the $189,000 surplus, wouldn't include those new initiatives that are being recommended. Okay?
Yep.
So so right now, when we go to the bottom of the page and you see $189,000 surplus, that would include the new initiatives if council agrees.
No, he's telling. Okay, we'll figure it out on the way through.
Okay, good. Anything else for that budget? No, good.
Thanks, Wayne and Charlotte.
Thanks, Wayne. Charlotte? Okay, so we can go.
Thank you. Thank you.
to, Is it city government? Or new initiatives? City government? Okay. And that's on page 4.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll present on behalf of the CAO. So under city government, not a big change with regards to the administration side, just a slight increase of $10,000 versus a forecast of 3.169 for a projected new budget of 3.176. And down in strategic priorities, which is, this is something new we're focusing on. So obviously a bigger increase with a new proposed budget of $76,912 versus a current forecast of $8,600 and an original budget of $18.5. This is for various initiatives such as getting a new strategic plan off the ground, the CAO's Innovation Task Force, as well as looking at a revised resident survey. Some of those are listed as new initiatives, but ones that not included in that are also administration costs included in there. Any questions on city government before I move ahead?
Councillor Twill.
Thank you, Amy. Can you be a little more specific on the projects that leads us to those, leads us to that $55,000 increase?
To the chair, through to Councillor Twill, are you referring to the top half, the city government expenses, or are you talking about the overall?
I guess I'm looking at overall. I mean, last year, what was it you said, 86?
8,600.
I'm sorry,
And we jumped to
8,600.
76,000.
So it jumped, and I think the reasons for the jump was because of projects, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so can you point out to one specific project that gets us to that 55,000?
Like I just said, it's tied to the CAO's Innovation Task Force, which is a new initiative focusing on streamlining the city's initiatives in growth and planning. We're also looking at revising, I believe our current strategic plan ends in 2026. So starting to plan for that, to have a new 4 or 5 year strategic plan. And I believe just looking at resident surveys, et cetera.
Okay, I want to talk about the strategic plan. I thought when we had that discussion on the strategic plan, currently we do have a strategic plan, Right. So did we not arrive at a consensus that the new strategic plan would be left with the new council? Because would it be fair for us to come up with a new strategic plan that the new council has to adopt and abide by for the next 4 years? So I guess I'm surprised that that's being referenced in the operational budget and be in place there. Did we not have that discussion that we would not leave that to the new city councils so they come up with their own respective 4-year strategic plan?
CAO, do you want,
Thank
Melanie's here, Melanie Bailey. Do you want, what's your call on that, sir?
Your worship, yes, we'll defer to Melanie.
Melanie, she's the strategic,
Thank you.
Project officer.
Through your worship to Councillor Twill. Absolutely, that is the priority that the new council will inform the new strategic plan. The current council will provide expert input and advice. The new council will then lead the direction. The process would have to begin within the spring to fall to be prepared for the new council, at which time when the new council comes in, both their elected platforms are considered. The new council informs the final plan, and we have 3 months to complete it and then launch it in advance of the 2027 start.
Thank you, Melanie. So, again, if I take it to understand from a layman's perspective, you're just doing a bit of legwork, right? Bit of legwork, but the actual plan, there still will be a process that the new council will go through in terms of, excuse me, consulting with the community, the broader community, and it'll be the new council that will bring in the new strategic plan based on their own formula, their own public consultation process, and how that process is to be, how that unfolds.
does that sound right, Melanie?
Yes, through your worship to Councillor Twill, that is correct. There is significant legwork, so we would get started soon, but you're correct. The new council sets the direction.
Okay, Councilman Tart.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just back to a comment that Amy mentioned regarding the under strategic priorities for projects, which I am the chair of. So I'm familiar with the Innovation Task Force and the roughly 54.9 there. But you also referenced that that is also maybe for projects like the strategic plan. Now, underneath the page 2, there is a new initiative there for 138,000 for a strategic plan, yet to be decided if that's a priority here. So I'm a little bit confused as to why some of that, you're referencing some of that in here. And it may not be a question for you directly, but I'm sure Melanie or the CAO could answer that.
Amy?
Thank you to His Worship through to Councillor Matart. Yes, I apologize for the confusion. So the expenses listed on the new initiative, that is to engage an external expertise to kind of drive the strategic plan. So that's the professional fees that are listed there, as well as in any additional on-site costs, assuming that this consulting firm may be coming from Meta Province. The additional in the projects would be, any other supplies that we need to kind of drive the actual part of the engagement sessions.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. Just want to be clear about that. Okay.
Okay, good. Okay, next one is page 5. Okay, page 6. Information technology is, I think we have to get Rory. Rory's in the other room taking care of the technology.
I can present on Rory's behalf,
Yep,
if
go
Your
ahead.
Worship. I don't know if we skipped a tab. There was a communications tab in there.
There was. You want to go back to that?
There's really not much to say in that, other than the fact that it's
skipped
status quo from last year's budget at 46.5, pretty minimal.
It's on page 5, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, Rory, she's just going to go on your budget here,
Right.
page 6.
So on to IT. We're looking at a proposed budget for 2026-27 of 1.523 million versus a forecast of 1.39, and a original budget for this fiscal of 1.396. Some increased expenses for network support and maintenance agreements, as well as desktop software subscriptions. So increasing number of employees means more costs for subscriptions and licenses, increased costs for internet and network, and just slight increase for service level agreements and hosting. So pretty standard increases when the organization continues to grow.
Good. Check it off? Okay. Thanks, Roy. Back to work. Okay. Environment sustainability. Councillor McKinnon, any words to start off, or you just want to let the
I'll let the managers and staff take over.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Anna and I are going to speak to environment and sustainability, which includes public transit. I'd actually like to scan to the bottom of the page first to highlight the net difference from year to year. So overall, we're going from a budget of about 2.26 million to about, or sorry, 4.26 million to 4.65. So our budget presents itself differently this year, so I wanted to highlight that the budget is similar to last year if you look at the net. So if you go back to the top, our environment and sustainability expenses are fairly status quo. In the first section, the big changes you'll see are in the transit section. So this year we have around $690,000 in partner funding, added to about $2.15 million in proposed new revenue. So that new revenue is to be expected from fares and passes sold for the transit system, and a higher operating cost to our operator for service. So the transit expenditures are around $5 million. But if you take off the $2.5 million, you get a operating cost of about 2.9 compared to about 2.5 last year. So the increases in transit the cost increases are due to fuel costs going up. Every year we pay increased CPI on our rates. We also are running service expansions at 12 months next fiscal that we didn't run 12 months last year. And then our switch program is, while the program's ended, the loan management part of it and our FCM work still continues. So you'll see some admin costs to do that. I'll leave it at that and answer any questions.
Thank you for that. Going back to transit, you said it's forecasted $5,091,107. Is that just our share, or is that Cornwall and Stratford's share on top of that again? Or how does that work? Like is a $5 million, and I should know the answer, but is a $5 million just from Charlottetown, or is there more on top of that from the other two communities?
Thank you, Councillor Ramsey, through the mayor. So the operational costs you see are just Charlottetown's. In the capital budget, you will see it presented differently, where we pay all the capital costs and then recoup costs from those municipalities. In this case, we operationally invoice everyone separately.
Yep, thank you. To Jessica. Jessica, under your environment sustainability expenses, you list projects to the tune of about 800,000. Are those operational projects? Would you consider those versus, like, they're not, could those be considered or should have been considered under capital? I don't know what type of projects they are. So what type of projects would that be from an operational standpoint?
Thank you, Councillor Matart, and through the mayor. So that's kind of like the core meat and potatoes of our department. They're not capital projects, but it's our ongoing work on promoting cycling, waste reduction, climate action, bike to bike to work, bike week, urban agriculture programs, flood rebate programs, energy programs with residents, all that work.
Okay. Just was trying to distinguish between that and like a capital project you might be doing. I'm sure they're separated, but just because it is, like you said, it's 800,000, you put it your core business and consider those types of projects. Thank you.
Deputy.
Yeah, thank you. I just noticed over across the two of the sections of your budget, you've got about 25 grand in miscellaneous. I always thought miscellaneous was like a naughty word, because what does it actually mean? Like, you know, so we've got 25 grand of just naughtiness. Like, what is it?
Now they're going to be
Thank you,
Define
Deputy. Yeah,
naughtiness.
through the mayor. Are you talking specifically the transit miscellaneous? Or, okay. Okay, so yeah, the switch one, there's no cost with it. The miscellaneous one for transit is membership fees. For us, mostly we're part of a national transit association. That's what that one is. Miscellaneous in the above one is staff uniforms. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. Miscellaneous things. Sorry, you have it there?
I can jump in there to answer Deputy Mayor's question. That's actually revenue from the EV chargers.
Oh, sorry, yeah, that's revenue. Thank you, sorry. Yeah.
No, it's expenses. 20,000 in expenses.
Yeah, if you give me 1 second, I can look it up. I have my notes on another sheet. I think staff uniforms is one. And the other thing is, oh, it's the electricity for the EV chargers. So the revenue is a separate line, but then we have to pay for the electricity for the chargers, which is miscellaneous.
Yeah, so thank you for that.
Needs a better title, for sure.
Yeah, since we know what it is,
Yeah.
it's not naughty. So maybe it should be better explained, just so we all know what it is. I don't know. Other than that, I think your budget looks great.
So just trying to find out, Jessica, on the revenue for the transit, we're taking over the fares. Is that under general revenue, Amy, or is that for the fares? Where do we trap that?
Thank you, Your Worship. That's actually under the miscellaneous revenue on the first page. Jessica and I spoke this morning, and as part of the budget book, we'll make sure that that's broken out for clarity.
And that's under other revenue you're talking about?
That is correct.
And do we have a number for that? For transit?
That's, we've estimated it conservatively at $2,150,850.
For revenue?
In revenue, yeah. And that's assuming no changes in our fare structure, that we remain at $2 and $20 for monthly passes.
2,050,000, correct?
Yeah, $2,150,000.
Okay. It's page 7? It's broken down? Yeah, at the top, it says environment sustainability, and it says revenue, 29,000. 200, okay. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Okay, Councillor Tweel.
Yep. When we did the capital budget, I had asked about, the new routes, new strategy, and that I think we're pretty well covered for this year as far as new outreach to the different communities and neighborhoods. Correct? I did bring that up, and I think you answered that. We're good to go in terms of responding to the constituents, particularly in the outlying areas. Correct?
Yes, speaking through your worship, this page is about the status quo budget, so if there were no changes in service, and we also have a significant new initiative request, which would be an additional expenditure, and that would significantly improve our service in the north end of town, as well as on all of our routes in evenings and weekends. That's on the new initiatives page.
Okay. I understand we received the email, I think Jessica sent it out, regarding a survey at the University of Prince Edward Island, or I don't know if it's being administered by the university or a professor that's taking this initiative on his own. How does that survey in terms of, transit, active transportation, and other transportation requirements, how does that fit in to the city of Charlottetown's plan? And will there be any type of improvisation or additions and deletions? Are we playing a role in that survey, or is that just an isolated survey that the universities or the professors undertaken on his own initiative, probably working with a group at the university? So do we have any involvement in that?
I think this starts to step outside of the operational budget focus for this meeting. It's not a budget item. However, we've been supporting and advising, and the data that comes out of that will be provided to us for future planning.
And Councillor McKinnon, it would go back to the committee anyways, correct? Yeah, okay. Okay.
The reason why I bring it up, because I just wonder, has there been any involvement, any participation from our end, from the city's end, with the professor that's undertaken this, this exercise? I think it's a reasonable question.
Oh, it's a reasonable question.
Yeah.
But the university, all the university students have to pay that transit. Yeah, no, let me just finish. Let me finish. We let you finish. All students are required to pay a transit fee, or what's that? UPass, correct?
That's correct, yeah. That's included within our fare revenue for transit. And
Right.
to answer the councillor's question directly, I have provided advice to that professor on the content of that survey and how it should be shaped. And a lack of data from UPEI in the past has been a bit of a barrier in our forecast planning.
So it's safe to say we are involved?
No.
Providing information?
Helping to shape how the survey, what questions are asked in the survey and how the data would be most usefully recorded.
Your worship, I just want to get back on track here. Like, I think it's a good question, Councillor Twill. I think
And
it's better
that's-
placed at the committee level, as opposed to what we're dialed into tonight.
Yeah, I think, Councillor Twill, we're
appreciate
going
the
to move on
question.
because we can answer this. Councillor McKinnon, could this be on the topic for the next committee meeting? Survey from UPEI?
Absolutely. Jessica, make a note. We'll put that on the agenda for the next council meeting.
Finance. And that's page.
Thank you, Your Worship. Finance, audit, and fiscal services, we're looking at revenues coming in for the 2026-2027 budget of $86,519,000 versus a forecast of $79.99 and a original budget of $79.123. Again, as previously discussed, the biggest jumps in those are the property taxes, the provincial grant, and the municipal capital expenditure grant. Down to expenses, salaries and benefits, slight growth in salaries and benefits. We're at 1.2 million versus a forecast of 805 and a budget of 922. The finance department is still understaffed at this time, so that's with the plan that we will be fully staffed in the year 2026, 2027. Professional auditing services, no change. There's really no other change other than bank fees from last year's budget to this year's. Obviously, that's due to increased activities and just standard rates. So audit fees or total finance and audit fees are coming in at 1.502 versus a forecast of 1.083 and original budget of 1192. Down to fiscal services, pretty self-explanatory. The interest on long-term debt is going up to 5.15 versus a forecast of 4.1 and an original budget of 5.22. Again, as previously mentioned, that's us taking on long-term debt, and just the difference between this year's budget and forecast is just the timing of when the actual interest kicked in. And depreciation, again, going up to 13.73 versus 12.691. That's, again, a jump in our anticipated capital expenditures for the coming year. Insurance, there is a slight general coverage insurance increase going up to just over $1 million versus $949,000 forecasted and an original budget of $944,000. That's just set forth by our insurance companies. And then the only other changes down below would be a slight increase in extraordinary expenses. So that's giving us a net total of negative 59 profit, or in the against revenue. So actually finance is one that actually generates a profit on this for our expenses. Any questions before we move on?
Councilor Bittart?
Yep, thank you. Thank you, Amy. Amy, if you can help me understand a little bit more, when we talk about the interest on our long-term debt being $5 million in 26, 27, is that based on what we currently owe to date versus what we potentially might spend in 26, 27? We passed the capital budget the other night with an understanding that that potential debt, because we don't borrow until we need it. So we don't know what we're going to expense out of that at this point in time. So is this based on what is current up to this date of what we owe? And then, of course, this time next year would be included what we actually spent in 26, 27. Is that correct? And understanding that?
To worship through to Councilor Bittart. Yes, that is correct. It's based on what we currently owe now and then anticipated increase on potential purchases. We're still finalizing like a cash flow report to see, so we just put an estimate of what we think we're going to have to incur in long-term debt.
Even for the 26, 27 fiscal as well? Yeah. And that includes new money, potential new money, or just what we have right now owing at date? Okay, thank you.
Councilor Beck?
What is our debt?
To your worship, to Councilor Beck, do you mean overall, what is our overall debt?
Long-term debt.
I don't have that number in front of me, but I can definitely find out for you.
I think it's 110. 110 million.
Yeah, I can't.
Short-term debt, do you have that? No, okay. But if we go back to our audited statements for the long-term debt, it's right there. If you can bring those up, Isaac.
To respond to your worship, we can look that up during the meeting, and then we'll have something before we dismiss this evening.
Yeah,
Councilor Beck.
that's fine. And I guess the other question I'd have is what do we plan to do with that long-term debt? Or
Pay it
what are
off.
well, I'd like to have that articulated if we could, rather than, if there's any kind of idea as to what our strategy is with that. Anyway, when you get that figure, Amy, could maybe have a little bit of an idea as to how we tackle that, or what we do with it, or what goals are with ultimately reducing it. Thanks.
Councilor Twill?
Over the last couple of years, I brought up the idea of maybe freezing the municipal taxes, the portion that the residents pay for property taxes, freezing that. We've never increased the tax rate, but each year, the assessments do go up. And that affects our residents that are paying a top tax dollar. And I think back a few years ago, the province did freeze their portion of the municipal taxes that they collected. They freezed it. And just wondering, maybe you can't answer it now, but maybe take it under advisement. But is there any thoughts to freezing our portion of the municipal taxes so that our residents will have a consistent, predictable idea of what they're going to be paying, as opposed to constantly seeing the property assessment increase on an annual basis? We can say from a city government that we have not increased the tax rate. However, the property assessments still keep going up. So to my mind, and I've always said this, it's a false sense of security for the homeowner, property owner, business owner, whatever umbrella that you fall under. I just wanted to bring that up again, because it's getting pretty expensive to live, whether it's in this city or any city in North America for that matter. And maybe the time could be right where we could explore the opportunity to freeze our municipal property taxes, to give the taxpayers a bit of a break in terms of predictability. But make no mistake about it, property taxes, versus the tax rate. Yeah, we can say we don't raise the tax rate, but the property assessments do go up, and property owners are finding it difficult. So I just wanted to bring that up again.
Yeah. So, Councillor Bernard, I believe it was in 2004 that we reduced the mill rate from $1.35 to $1.33. Is that correct?
The tax rate never gone up in my term here.
It went down.
The tax rate went down in the mini home parks for sure.
Yeah, I think it went from 69 cents to 67 cents.
Yeah.
Councillor McAleer?
No, to your point, Councillor Twill, and I know, I guess this would be my fourth budget or being part of budgets, and I know, you make that plea every year, and the reality is, I'd be happy myself to see lower taxes, but when you look at the challenges that the city have, and yourself, your chair of Public Works, the strain and the demand that are on core services, and until we have some kind of a different arrangement with our partner at the province, it's going to be difficult to look at acting on what you're talking about. CAO may want to have a comment on that as well.
Yeah, just Councillor Bernard first, and then CAO. Councillor Bernard?
I didn't know I pressed, but anyway. Well, I will say that the property taxes is our main source of revenue. So if we were to freeze that, then I guess you're going to be laying people off and cutting programs, because that's our main source of revenue. Sorry? If you were to freeze that, that's the city's main source of revenue. So if you were to freeze that, if you look at this budget, everything that's in this budget, we have $189,000 surplus. So if you're to freeze that, you get $3.2 million that you have to find, which means you're cutting programs or you're cutting staff. Most municipalities, that's their main source of revenue is a property tax. So we've been good to live within our means, because tax assessments, as you say, we haven't been needing to raise property taxes. We've been living within our means on our tax assessments and the provincial grants. So.
Deputy Mayor Yankoff.
Yeah, thank you. I just to dovetail or build on what Councillor Bernard said, from my perspective, this budget that we're looking at now really reflects the cost of delivering the services that the residents expect, and I'd be awfully cautious about suggesting reductions without first identifying those impacts to the residents. So it's just my 2 cents worth.
Councillor Twill.
Yeah, Deputy Mayor did say I wasn't suggesting a reduction. what I was suggesting was, and I have been suggesting for some time, is there a possibility to come up with a formula to work with the province? It's been done before. I remember the premier that brought it in. So this is not a new phenomenon where you would just freeze property assessments to give the homeowners and property owners a break. Not saying cut any programs. I'm not saying, we're looking at a lot of different initiatives. These are hard times, okay? These are hard times. And cost of fuel, cost of groceries, property taxes, it's not easy. It's not easy for people. Some of them are living paycheck to paycheck and trying to make ends meet. So as the Chair of Finance pointed out, I brought this up previously, and I just thought it'd be beneficial, at least have that discussion. I think we owe it to our residents to try to be as fiscally responsible as we possibly can without compromising or undermining or jeopardizing any of our core services. I would never suggest that, but it doesn't hurt. I think it's healthy to have that discussion and that debate. That's why we're here, responsible government.
So I got the deputy and then the CAO. Amy, of that 52,916,000, up from 49,588,000, that's mostly the CPI or the assessment increase, correct? Correct?
Thank you to your worship. Yeah, a portion of it is for the CPI. The other portion is to account for what we assume is going to be increased property value going up.
Right.
It's not, has nothing to do with the tax rate itself, as well as the number of properties within the municipality being assessed
Right.
with year-over-year growth.
Our mill rate's not going up.
No.
Deputy.
Yes, I just wanted to follow up with Councillor Twill. He's not wrong, and perhaps that's a conversation that we ask Councillor Matart to bring into intergovernmental affairs and begin that conversation with the province. And, great idea, something to definitely look at for this next fiscal year.
CAO.
Thank you, Your Worship, and, I think there's a lot of great comments made through that discussion and a lot of acknowledgement that, there's an economic uncertainty for a lot of people, including our municipality. Our reality is our growth and our growth challenges and our service delivery challenges are outpacing our revenues. So now would not be, the time to pause taxes, certainly as we look forward and have our conversations with the province, we look for opportunities, certainly to alleviate pressures on citizens and our own municipality and service delivery, but I wouldn't recommend it currently.
Okay.
Your Worship, just before we leave the finance, and I guess after Councillor Beck had raised the point, I am now curious, like, where are we capturing our debt service for the loans that we have other than interest? Like you have a line item there for interest on long-term debt, but what about the actual debt itself? Do we pay that through that should be captured through operational as a line item in operations? It's got to get paid somewhere. How are we capturing?
Yeah, he's asking about the principal. I ask about this every year too.
Like, how do we pay down $110 million? I'm not, and Amy, I know you're just starting here, so it's not it's a very direct question to you as the finance manager. So, but I think as I look through here and look through last year's budget book, I'm really struggling to find how are we paying this down? Like, by the sound, if we were to review this, it looks like we're just basically paying interest on our long-term debt. We're not actually have an operational expense line that's paying down our debt service.
Amy, could you explain the depreciation? That's, I think, it's-
So thank you, Your Worship, through to Council Matart. So with debt, there's a set payment, and as part of the payment, there's a principal portion and an interest portion. So the interest portion is just recorded on the income statement as that's an expense to us. The principal portion is going to reduce the debt that's listed on our balance sheet, which is not reflected in these financial statements, as this is just an income statement. So that's always displayed as part of our audited statements at the end of each fiscal with MRSB or our auditors, with that information that would tell us what are the change in long-term debt. Forgive me, I don't know if in your schedule they also show the change in short-term debt, and it shows what our difference was, basically how much we've paid down the principal portion of that debt over the course of the last fiscal. Does that answer your question?
It does, in the sense of you were saying, so the 5 million that we're identifying there is not only interest, it's interest and principal. Those are our payments, of which the majority of it would probably be interest, I would think, or a good portion of it is interest, and then obviously to the principal. And then we see the principal amount reflected more in our annual audit statements.
that's right.
That is correct.
That's fair. It's just misleading in the sense, because it just makes it, it could be interest / principal on long-term debt or something that would allow us to.
Well, the reason for that is because, like I said, the principal itself is actually reducing the debt on the balance sheet. So we can rename it for clarification, but yeah, it's not going to show actually what amount is drawing down the debt. But moving forward, I'll make sure that we have that information to follow up with on the interest portion.
So really, the bigger time we should be asking that question is when.
When
MRSB
Isaac
is-
identifies
when they're here doing it.
the long-term debt, there should be a principal payment there too,
Yeah,
correct?
there's an interest in the principal.
Go ahead, Councilor Beck.
No, great discussion, and it started off with Councillor Beck's question, and as it, I'll just digress, I'd like to see this be an agenda item on our Finance Committee at some point, short-term going forward, is, take that as a report from the Finance Committee to Council, where we are with our long-term debt and what that looks like in terms of a schedule. I think that's very doable, and we'll take that to Council, but. And if we can get can we get a principal interest number tonight on, okay?
Councilor Beck?
Yeah, thank you for that, Councilor McAleer. And I guess I'm just wondering, is that, can that be like captured here, or like, because, we get our audited statements at a different time of the year, we get our operating budget at a different time of year, and I think that's a valid or a good next step. Just maybe as we're coming at this time of year, could it be just captured and presented kind of a State of the Union address on a yearly basis? Here's where we're at. Here's where we were last year. Here's where we were the year before, and kind of just so we can kind of see where the needle's moving, if it's moving in the right direction or the wrong direction, or do we have to do anything with that? Thanks.
Yeah, no, again, I think, to reiterate it, it should be possible, I would think, and I'd like to think support of the staff and CAO at, next year as part of the process, we could have a, whatever, a one-pager on what the debt, what the long-term debt is and what it looks like in terms of a 10-year schedule, perhaps, or.
Thank you, His Worship, through to his chair of the Finance Committee. And in response to Councillors Matard and Councillor Beck's inquiry, I can share with you that as part of the audited financials, and maybe this is something we review with the year-end auditors, there is a section in the notes that breaks down what our principal portions, what they're going to be paid out over the next 5 years. So for instance, the expected long-term debt principal portion that we're expecting to pay in 2026, we're reducing our debt by $7.26 million versus our interest expense of $5 million.
Yeah, I think Amy just answered. I was just going to say, like, the financial audit statements that we do, we have our accountants come in, has all that. It has how much debt we're paying down, it has what the debt is, and what's projected, and how much we paid down. And we should be able to get that copy of that would be here. She just did it a few months ago. So.
And Amy, just for a footnote, the Mayor of Halifax, Andy Fillmore, when he gave his State of the Union address last year, 82% of Halifax revenue comes from property tax. In comparison, 45% of revenue for the city of Calgary comes from property taxes. So they have many other sources. Edmonton, 59% of their revenue comes from property taxes. The other 41 is from other sources. So maybe we have to look at other sources. Councillor Peck.
And I recognize we get the audited statements and all that. I think it's just an information, tracking purposes, clarity purposes, reminder purposes, say, hey, here's where we're at. It's not looking for like detailed breakdown on the stage, just what's our status now? And if we can capture it in here somehow, I think that would be good for all of us.
Okay. Good. Next is fire. We got the fire chief here, Tim Mamie. Okay.
I guess I'll jump in.
Councillor McCabe, did you want to preface anything, Councillor McCabe?
I'm going to let the chief start, and then we'll see where we go.
Thank you.
Certainly, thanks. Thanks, Your Worship. Yeah, the fire operational budget, as you see before you there for 26, 27, slight change in salaries and benefits. This is different than the original submission. We had some I had my new initiatives built into the original budget that probably was seen originally. So they've been removed from this to be more specific for the 26, 27 year. Other slight increase, a small increase in staff development. Once again, that was tied, some of that was removed was tied to the new initiatives we'll talk about. Small increase in miscellaneous, which are our in-house projects for most cases, and work that's done around the stations on a daily basis. No other real increases aside from the emergency operations of about $12,000 there for some scheduled training and support sessions through the year for elected officials and staff. We getting back up here to talk about our new initiatives at another time? Okay. Great. Willing to answer any questions if anybody has any on the 26, 27 operational.
Okay. Councillor Tweel.
Thank you, Chief Mamie. Now, in terms of the new initiatives, we're going to discuss that afterwards, right?
Yes, that's right.
We're not going to discuss it here.
Correct, my understanding. Yeah.
Okay. So, for all intents and purposes, the status quo budget?
Yes, through your worship to Councillor Tweel, yes, for the most part there with the small increases noted.
Okay, so when we talk about increased fuel, CPI, and apparatus or equipment. So nothing out of the ordinary.
That's correct, Councillor.
Okay, and once again, new initiatives for
They're coming.
for the fire department. That's going to be discussed
Yep.
after.
Yep. Okay.
Just a question though. How does this budget, or any budget for that matter, how does this budget affect the new initiatives? Like, maybe it's not so much for you, Chief, sorry, Kevin, but maybe for Amy. Right. We're going to be discussing new initiatives afterwards, but the die's already casted, right? In terms of flexibility, in terms of whether we can add or delete, or whatever the case may be. In this instance, Fire Chief comes in, he presents a status quo budget, but we're not going to discuss it here, even though I believe it's relevant. We're going to discuss it afterwards under new initiatives. And like I said, just from my own assessment, the die is already casted. So why was that strategy implemented, new initiatives discussed after all the presentations are made? Not so much just the fire department, but all departments for that matter. Why was that strategy implemented?
Can we ask Amy to answer that? And I know last year, the new initiatives came after the budget was passed, and there was a lot of discussion, correct?
Every year.
Every year. Amy, can you give them an accounting reason or an accounting explanation?
Thank you, Your Worship, and through to Councillor Tweel. One, I think it was for consistency, again, just based on how last year's budget was presented. but also we didn't want the new initiatives to kind of meddle with the regular operations as they stand, because all the new initiatives that were presented are not necessarily going to be implemented. So for that confusion of, this is what it looks like before we do the initiatives, and then we'll approve the initiatives, I think we just wanted to kind of show you where we are at today, kind of being able to compare apples to apples to where we are today without the new initiatives, and what that budget would look like without implementing those new initiatives. I mean, we're always open to how we change and present, so open to feedback for sure.
Councilor Bernard.
Thank you. And I think we always want to make sure that we have a balanced budget. So once we go through the budget, if it's balanced, anything that's left over is what we try and do new initiatives with. So that's why we do it the way we do it. Question for the chief. I'm just wondering, under fuel, chief, 35,000 last year, and it's 35.7. Do you feel that's enough? I'm just wondering what's going on.
I believe we did the 10% increase after the last round we went through, and I'm not sure if that specific 35.7 is the
Correct number?
increase. I'd have to check my previous notes there, actually.
It probably should pop up a little bit.
I'll confirm that here this evening.
It probably should pop up a little bit, though.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, can we move on to human resources? Okay, hold on. The budget you're looking at?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tracy, can you bring that for salaries and benefits, please? So there's no, again, once again, it's status quo. There's no real increase, or is there? Forecast, budgeted.
No, not in this presentation here.
No, okay, okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. Human resources, is Emily here?
Your worship, I believe Emily had to step out early, so I'll present on her behalf.
Thank you very much.
So for human resources, we're looking at an overall 1.579 versus a forecast of 1.493, which is also the original budget for the year. There is a slight increase in salaries and benefits. I do believe there might be a vacant position or two, as well as some savings there as hiring junior staff. There is a jump in payroll services, as I indicated before. That's our service contract with our ADP system. And contract services, that's an increase for anything to do with investigations, contract negotiations for the union, et cetera.
Okay. Looks good. Councillor Beck, you're all right with that? Good. Question? Or good? Okay. Mayor and Council.
Mayor and Council, again, very much status quo from the forecast. Slight decrease from the budget of 880,000. That's really has to do with just under budgeted spend with regards to public relations, advertising, but some of those savings are offset, obviously, with the increase in the mayor and council costs themselves.
Okay. Oh, Councillor Matart and then Councillor Tweel.
So just looking at some of these line items here, I think of some of them that we had a budget of, say, staff development for 50,000, and then we're forecasting to spend that. So is this just strictly mayor and council, or is this the office of mayor and council, which would include admin?
Mayor and Council falls under administration.
So I'm curious what we would have spent 50,000 on staff development for. I didn't get any staff development, I don't think. I don't know what that, and new equipment, like, did we spend $11,000 on new equipment?
To His Worship through to Councillor Matart. So, well, the staffing costs reside with government, the actual cost to operate the office as well as council, all of that will fall under here. So, staff development, I'm assuming is courses, training, communication, anything like that. I don't have the details in front of me, but I'm happy to provide those for you.
Yeah, I think we'd like to, I'd like to see what, I'd like to see what some of these expenses are falling in under these categories here.
Advertising communications.
Some of them are pretty obvious.
Yeah.
I know what those are, but like I said,
Intercommunity
I guess
affairs
I'd be
is-
focused on staff development, and, equipment, new equipment. The others are pretty
Just to
solid.
follow up on that too, Councilor Matart, like the naming could also be like what's in the system. So we could have, it could also be courses or training or for council as well as the mayor and deputy mayor. It just says staff because that's the account name
No,
that's
I
in
realize
the
there was
system.
that, but I guess,
Yeah.
okay, even if it said council development,
Yeah.
I'm just still wondering what that is. I've been here, I've not heard anybody taking any
No.
courses or any development, so I'm curious to see what's being expensed in that line item.
Jackie oversees that budget.
We'll see. Thank you.
Councillor Twill.
Yeah, professional services, what does that consist of?
His Worship through to Councillor Twill. That would be anything from accounting services, legal services, consulting services, basically any kind of external professional service. I'm assuming it's just a regular budgetary item for anything that may come up, as it appears to be status quo across the year.
Legal services, that comes under city government. So why would legal services come out of the mayor's budget?
Where's that?
Again, if it was tied to council and the mayor and the deputy mayor specifically, it would be allocated to this department versus the overall city budget would be allocated under the city government.
So would professional services, for example, could that include hiring consultants? Okay. And is there a methodology to hiring the consultants, or is that just, I don't know, just trying to understand the procedure?
I'm assuming it would be like as needed basis, so, depending on what it was you needed the consultant for, but that would be kind of like a putting in an amount there for something was to come up that you wanted to hire one for.
Okay. And follow-up question, Amy, intercommunity affairs,
Yeah.
24,000. What's that consist of?
That's your events that we have out in the parks.
No, that's community neighborhood events.
Yeah.
So what does intercommunity affairs consist of?
Same thing. There's a tie in between the two, but
Oh, is there? Okay,
Well,
so
but you seem to
community
be-
neighborhood events,
you're not listening.
okay.
I'm just telling you some of the areas, and it will be broken down much better with Jackie, the executive assistant.
So intercommunity
Yeah.
intercommunity affairs is the same as, what you're saying is,
No.
is the same as community neighborhood and events?
No, they're intertwined, Councillor Twing.
They're intertwined.
Yeah,
Okay, give me an example.
Yeah, I gave you an example.
What are they?
Are events that we have out in the neighborhood parks. At Christmas time, we have the Christmas socials at the senior homes. We have community skates. We have New Year's Day levy, which is also a big event that covers also professional services when we bring in photographers. When we have announcements for example, new initiatives for the city, it's to set up, to provide food and other amenities, that would be captured under inter-community affairs.
Okay.
But,
Your Worship, just to jump in there, there's also what looks like a mayor's conference, as well as the Capital Cities, so conference fees in theirs as well.
CCO, that's right, Capital Cities, Canadian Capital Cities Organization, that's right.
Does that come under the governmental affairs or no?
No, it comes under the Office of the Mayor.
Oh, okay, okay.
And all the FCM stuff, like, okay.
Pardon?
I'm just going to say, for Councillor Tweel's concerns, I know that
Councillor
Jackie-
Tweel's
Just one
questions.
second. That's a concern. Jackie will provide more detail. Councilman Tarr?
And I think after looking at it a little bit more and probably making some assumptions of some of these expenses, I mean, I know what they likely are, but they're just in the way in which they're misleading in the way they, because we as council have the opportunity to attend FCM conference each year. So one could consider that staff development, possibly. Again, how we categorize that. So that to me would make sense if it was in expensed underneath there. And then, of course, our community neighborhood events that we have, makes sense, community neighborhood event. Public relations, it's our second highest expense. Again, that could mean any number of things in there. So I think that might just be something that we as mayor and council want to kind of have and understand a bit better where these expenses are in that way. Not to suggest anything is not above board.
All open and transparent.
All open and transparent.
Very accountable.
Thank you.
Yes, Councilor Ramsey.
Thank you. Mayor and council for 510, 567, is that the stipends? Yes. Well, I just assumed it was under city government, but I guess it's not, is it? So we're separate towards a city government thing with our stipends. Okay, no, that's great. Okay, thank you. I just want to clarify that. Thank you.
Yeah, and just aim at that, I'm assuming there's a number, there must be at least a half a dozen or more charitable dinners and things that the city purchases tables for and charitable golf events. I'm assuming all that must live in here somewhere.
Yeah, public relations. Public promotions. Good? Okay. Parks and recreation. Okay. And Councilor Ramsey, do you want to start off, or do you want to just lead right into the manager?
Oh, I'm sorry, Your Worship, I was just, okay. No, I would like to lead right into the manager or Amy, whoever wants to take the controls of the wheel. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, thank you, Councillor Ramsey and Your Worship. So you'll see on the screen there, the first section there is regards to administration. There's a slight increase there, and that is associated with the staffing, our staffing increase. All the rest of the accounts are status quo. We'll go to programs and grants, and you'll see that the revenue forecast, or the revenue forecast, is increased. This year we did a good job on additional revenue. But next year we're forecasting about the same, so 206,328. So that's for the revenue from programs. So that is up from 155. Outside of that, you will see the changes associated with salaries. So that is our UPSI staff. It's also associated with our casual staff. When the minimum wage goes up, all of our casual wages go up. The subsidies and grants are just slightly less. And then outside of that, there's really, the only other change would be our programs and equipment. So we've increased the revenue, which means we've increased the number of programs we're offering. So that means we're having to increase our expenses to cover supplies. So that's like offering a new, senior yoga class or youth programming or whatnot. So the program budget has gone up. The net difference, so you'll see, is minimal because we've increased our revenue. The Cody Banks Arena, so the revenue is up there. The Cody Banks is actually open this year in April. So because we're going to be open in April, that will increase our revenue. Having said that, that also will increase our expenses. So our expenses for salaries have gone up because of that, but also because of the QP 501 settlement. So that's, the agreement hadn't been settled. 2022 was the last agreement, so it's compacted 2% every year. So that increases that. And then the other would be the utilities, the lights and fuel. Those are the two main increases, which Amy alluded to. And the rest are status quo. Then we move over to Simmons, and Simmons' increase is the revenue as well. It's going to be closer to what we're actually forecasting this year, so we've done a good job on actually having the facility booked fully. The salaries are going up slightly, and this is associated with the QP increase. And we've also increased our this facility operations now will happen, it's going to be open in May, and it's also opening up early in August. So we've got sort of June, July, and August is when June and July, sorry, when the Simmons isn't open. That's the ice surface. So we increased the hours there. And the only other cost, like I said, has been the power and the associated with that, power and fuel. So you'll see the difference, though, between the actual increased revenue and expenses is, trying to see here, sorry, is just increased slightly over last year's budget. It's about $20,000. And then we go into parks. So parks, there is a slight increase in revenue, and this is associated with and I should have mentioned that also through where all the revenue has increased. We are proposing a 2% increase in our arena fees, like our ice users and all those. And then also with our sport field users in our programs, and a 2% increase across all our programs. And those, I can provide a breakdown on all those, but it's a nominal increase with CPI. In parks here, there's a slight increase, and the only increase here, this is where our community centers fall in, is we're just proposing an increase to our park special event fee, where now it's $27.04, $27.04. We're proposing that goes up to $30. And then just with one miscellaneous building, which is our culture pavilion, we're proposing that goes up from $54.08 to $60. And that's for a full day use, so it's a very reasonable fee. And that will increase the revenue slightly, and also our community centers are all at capacity. So we're not proposing an increase in the revenue there, since we did a substantial increase a year or two ago, and we feel like we're at a fair market price. The major increase here with regards to expenses under this budget is the QP 501 settlement with regards to salaries. So you'll see our salaries have gone up substantially. And that's where a majority of our staff, our QP staff in that division. And then that, of course, that will make the actual increase to benefits. There is also, just look at my comments here. There's also a minimum wage increase there as well that impacts that department. And then the material and supplies, that's one of the ones that we're proposing increases, and that's just part of the cost of, as you get more infrastructure, more equipment, whatnot, there's more maintenance costs associated with it. So there's a 10% increase there. And then the other thing would be the fuel and the electric, and a small increase for water and sewer. Outside of that, the budget is pretty well status quo. I don't think there's anything else that jumps out on the budget. So the overall budget will be that the total net expenditure, our budget is $4,962,375, and where our budget previously forecast budget last year was $4.598429 million. So, if any questions, I'll do my best to answer them.
Any questions? Go ahead. Thank you, Frank, for your presentation. Will there be an increase for the Zamboni driver? We have two Zamboni drivers that are, I think it's at the seasonal rate. I'm not sure. And the third Zamboni driver, will he be brought up to the same pay scale as there's two there now, and then I understand the third Zamboni driver is not at that same level.
So through to Councillor Tweel. So actually, there's two permanent staff there and one seasonal staff.
Okay.
So the actual permanent staff are paid at a different rate. The current seasonal staff is entry-level seasonal rate right now, but the new agreement is going to be moving that wage up to the seasonal wage. So there will be an increase in the near future. So the assistant ice makers, we have 5 full-time assistant ice makers and one seasonal.
Okay. Any thoughts given to making that seasonal permanent? Considering, I don't know all the assignments and responsibilities, but I'm just looking, Frank, for an equal level playing field, that's all.
Yeah, so you will see through Councillor Twill, so that's in the new initiatives, that is one of the new initiatives that is proposed to make that seasonal position a permanent, since they are working now around 40 weeks a year, so.
Okay. You talked about Simmons shut down during the summer months. If there was a group that wanted to come forward, maybe you do have recreational programming for Simmons during the summer months. It could be box lacrosse. It could be any other sport. So I guess I'm not fully aware or fully engaged with that. But I'm assuming that even though the ice is taken out, we have recreational programming that's going through the summer months.
That'd be correct, Councillor Twill. So yeah, so we have our day camp program uses the space. We also have some one-off groups that request to use it. Potentially, I think we might even have, I think it might be a pickleball event that might be requesting to use it this year. But it is a very short window of opportunity we have. It's about 6 to 8 weeks that we have for floor activities, because it does take time. Once you take the ice out, you have to clean the actual surface and whatnot. So, but yeah, no, it is used in the off-season.
Have there been any requests to use Simmons from an ice perspective, whether it be Simmons and Cody Banks? Has there been any additional requests come in from, it could be different hockey leagues or camps or whatever the case may be?
There hasn't. Cody Banks wouldn't have the capacity to do it. We're pushing it to leave it open in April.
Yep.
Simmons could, but you still have to shut it down for a period of time. So usually they recommend for at least a month to do maintenance and whatnot. Right. So we're shutting it down for 2 months since our current demand, like what demand we have is meeting the needs. And we do have the Bella Line Center that does stay open all year round.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Twill. Any other questions? Councilman Tard, you're okay? Green light? Thank you, Frank. Thank you very much. And next is our planning. We got our master planner here. We got Donna, Shane. And, oh no, I'm going to get, and I want to get the deputy to make the presentation. The deputy hasn't missed a day since, oh, go on.
Thanks, everybody. I just have a few notes just to outline our budget here. And we also, like the mayor said, we've got some of our Jedis here that can explain it as well. So the budget outlines the department's current and proposed budget for 26-27, and also the budget forecast for 25-26. So based on the year-to-date actuals, the department's forecasting a reduction in actual revenue versus budgeted revenue for permits and licensing. Overall construction value for the current year is trending similarly as the past year, while still a significant amount of investment in the community falling short of the budgeted increase anticipated for 25-26 fiscal year. The department anticipates underspending in salaries and benefits for 25-26 fiscal. This is due to vacancies as we have been unsuccessful so far in filling key roles in the building inspection team. Staff are also forecasting underspending in planning services, with carryover spending anticipated for contracted work, which was funded by half on the zoning and development bylaw, heritage bylaw, and the pre-approved housing initiative. So our proposed 26-27 budget, the total proposed budget for this coming fiscal year represents a status quo budget with targeted investment in projects and capacity building tied to existing funding agreements. So the proposed budget is primarily influenced by the following factors: salaries and benefits making up 70%, staff development increased by $46,875 associated with training to qualify additional building officials, which is being offset by a provincial grant for capacity building through the Codes Acceleration Fund. Planning services and heritage projects, a total anticipated investment of $348,000 for contractual obligations related to the implementation of the city's HAF initiatives. Includes the city's zoning and development bylaw, the ADU pre-approved housing, and the comprehensive review of the heritage preservation bylaw. And projects and grants, a total anticipated investment of $310,000 associated with heritage grants, incentives, and the implementation of this accessory dwelling unit grant supported by the Housing Accelerator Fund. And then later on this evening, we will discuss our one new initiative. The department has one of these new initiatives proposed for the coming fiscal year that we will discuss later. So thank you. Any questions, you can ask me, but you're probably better off asking Mike and I think I saw
Donna and
Donna's
Shane.
here and Shane's here and Amy's here. But you can ask me first if you want.
Yeah.
And by the way, we have one item in there called miscellaneous,
What's that for?
naughty.
What? What
No
is it?
idea. I've calculated over $200,000 of naughtiness in this budget.
Yes.
We need to rename that miscellaneous. It's the only thing I want to approve in this budget. We've got to rename that name. But anyways, we'll talk about that later. Bye.
It's in all budgets. Okay. Counselor Terry Bernard. Good.
Thank you. I'm just wondering, excuse me, in the revenue side, is there a reason for a drop with all the building permits we have going out the door?
Yes, I think it's timing, but also I think we're just down a little bit. But Mike, do you want to speak to that better than me?
Thank you, Madam Deputy. Just in response to Councillor Bernard's question about the revenue for this existing fiscal year, we've really noticed that the construction activity has been about the same as the previous year. So if you'll recall, when we're going through the last budget cycle, we had bumped up our anticipated revenue for fiscal 25-26, being hopeful that we would realize some additional construction value and that growth would continue. Unfortunately, that hasn't been what has played out this year. There's a number of factors that have played into that. Obviously, change in immigration policy is probably a large factor to consider in all of that. So we're trying to be more conservative with our revenue projections going into next fiscal.
Okay, so, so you're basically projecting it to be around the same as what you took in 25? Yep, okay.
That's correct.
Okay. So we're saying there's going to be did you say, Mike, through, with the changes in immigration, you expect a slowdown? Or to stay the same?
Again, through the chair, anticipate, we're hopeful that we'll see kind of a status quo situation. We know that some of the construction plans to accelerate further growth have obviously moderated with that change in immigration and a number of other factors, but based on what the department has seen with planning for new projects coming in this year, I feel fairly confident that we'll be at that same forecasted revenue area where we are this year.
Okay. Thank you.
And Deputy, and I know Michael's here and Donna and Shane, on the half funding, it was 10.2. How much have we drawn down on that? Just 1 second, go ahead.
So the staff are currently working on a breakdown for us that will be circulated for the next Planning and Heritage Committee meeting as well as to all of council.
Okay.
So they're working on those numbers, so we should have those very soon. Is that correct, Mike?
Through the chair, we are working with finance on that. Obviously, finance has been very focused on trying to get this budget before you tonight. So we're hoping to connect to focus on that once this exercise has been completed. But we're required to do this through our funding agreement with CMHC as well. So it needs to be completed in very short order in any case.
Thank you, Deputy. Thank you, Michael. Donna?
Thank you, Your Worship. So through to Councillor Bernard. So up to date, we have collected just over $5 million from HAF.
Oh, okay. Breaking news. Okay.
So sorry, just again, to clarify, that's the revenue side of it. What we're kind of talking about tonight is the expense side. So that's the piece that staff are working on collecting. Because if I recall, your question was how much the city has actually allocated to the budget thus far?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Any other questions, concerns?
Yeah, I have one.
Councillor Drawn, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Brown, and thank you, Mike, for your report there. And, our salaries are down. I know with our former CAO, we've hired a number of people in planning. We were talking about automated building permits. The accelerator fund was going to be great. We're going to hire more building inspectors. We're going to hire more staff. Things are not looking great right now, for the building sector. I get it pretty near every day. What's going on? We can't get permits out the door quick enough. Here we are, we're putting a budget in, reduce staff or reduce salaries. Like, what are we going to do here as a city to progress our planning department? It's frustration when I go anywhere. People get a hold of me and say, well, we need to get building permits out. It's costing us money. We're losing builders. We can't close deals. And I said, well, just call the planning. They're going to work with you. They're going to try to help you. And I get told off all the time. I don't know where else to turn. Here we are in budget and we're reducing our budget from salaries. Like when we say we can't get people to come here, well, what are we going to do? Like, we can't shut the place down. Do we have to improve our salaries? Or what? I was so helpful, so hopeful, I guess. When we approved all these positions a couple of years ago, and it's just not coming to fruition. I don't know how to express my frustration right now. I've been holding it in. I was told off again today. Like, what are we going to do here? Can someone answer me a question like that?
Deputy Mayor?
Mike, are you able to speak to the consolidated expenses in terms of salaries and benefits from the planning and then the heritage side, which would equal a higher number there, but also speak to the staff shortages and what staff are doing to try and recruit and retain. And that might help Councillor Duran understand that the efforts are tirelessly happening in your department. It's just not equaling the staff that we require. So if you could just outline that for Councillor Duran so that he's not continuously told off in the community as well.
Thank
Michael.
you. Through the chair, certainly appreciate the frustration. The department certainly tries its best to turn around permits and development applications as quickly as possible. As council is aware, we have been investing over the last couple of years now in the Housing Accelerator Fund initiatives. One of the key elements here as it relates to development approval timelines is improving our efficiency through the implementation of a comprehensive new digital permit system. So we're, I would say, about at the tail end of that project right now, aiming to have that implemented hopefully by the end of April and starting to do some testing with the industry. That has certainly been an ongoing conversation with the industry, with the Construction Association and others. Just relating to the building inspection team, I think I've taken a couple reports now through committee, just providing updates on that. Unfortunately, it is a fairly specialized field. We're not unique in our challenges in trying to find qualified professionals to fill these positions. And so that's, and actually the deputy highlighted this earlier, working with our manager, Shane Jones, for building inspection. We were successful in getting some funding in partnership with the province to work on capacity building. So using the funding from the Housing Accelerator Fund, we've been able to keep a contract building official on staff, hoping to push our existing staff members through further training so that we can backfill into those more junior positions and continue to grow our capacity internally through kind of staff development. We're hoping to be more sustainable in that fashion versus spending all of our efforts on recruiting, which again have been thus far unsuccessful. And then just last point on overall staff salaries, in this detailed sheet on page 16 of your package, so you'll note that there's now 3 kind of business units. The, I guess, planning and heritage revenue, and then that first section of expenses is really tied to the development planning team. The next section is tied to our heritage and policy team, and then the third is the inspection team. So on the 25-26 budget numbers, that first column, the salaries and benefits is actually the consolidated of all those teams. And then in the 26-27 budget, your rightmost column, you'll notice that the salaries and benefits are split between those 3 teams. And that's just an effort for more transparency in our operations and ensuring that the team leads are able to manage their teams effectively. If there's anything I missed, I'm happy to clarify further.
Councillor Drawn?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Brown, and thank you for that explanation, Mike. I know the planning department is not unique in its efforts to get qualified people. I've seen our CAO, come up with initiatives to get police officers in place where we couldn't get any. We extended from going to 3rd level to 1st level. We're trying the same in water and sewer. We can't fill positions. We've changed from hiring companies to another hiring company, to see if we can get somebody. Again, when our budgets come time here, what is the reason we can't get people to come here? The city of Charlottetown is the capital city in the province of Prince Edward Island. We have a safe community, a flourishing community. People I know, with the medical doctors, they want to come from all across Canada to come here. So is it a salary that's holding us back to get certified planners or building inspectors? Because at the end of the day, if a building permit can't get approved, that's tax money that the city can't accept and build on and get revenue from. So, one has to get, permits in to increase our budgets. And if that's getting more staff at a higher wage, then, maybe we have to come up with some ideas to get these positions filled, because, time and time again, people are saying, I'm not building here. I'm going somewhere else. And you're trying to, I only see a minute, few people that I'm dealing with and saying, just work with it. It's getting better. Just stay with it. Charlottetown's a great place to build. That's where our capital city is. You have all these, good police, good fire, transit, all this stuff. But if we can't get staff here, then people are frustrated and leave. And, I'm not going to rant anymore. I know you're trying your best, but it's just, I don't know what it is. When we get the salaries, we got to increase them to get people in place. So I appreciate it, but I'll stop talking now. But I just wanted to tell council and yourself the frustration in the community.
Okay, Councillor Ron, you just forgot one group. Great staff,
What's that?
great mayor and council.
Yeah. Thanks. That's right. It all adds to the piece of the pie. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Duran, and I think Mike could speak to this better, and, everything you said is, I 100% agree with you. I think the biggest thing we're seeing across Canada is the trends across municipalities, that everyone is trying for the same piece of the pie, and that's that level of planners, support staff. I mean, everyone's trying for the same piece of the pie, so the competition is stiff for getting these planners to come our way versus a dozen other choices that they have. Mike, if you wanted to add anything more to that, but I know if you check out other municipalities, you're seeing the same vacant positions across Canada, and I hear about it all the time at FCM.
Yeah, again, through the chair, I'd maybe just add a couple things. One, I believe our HR team, I know they're not here right now to speak to it, but we're going to be undergoing a salary survey, I believe for the entire corporation, but I think they can probably provide more detail on that at a future committee meeting perhaps. But certainly happy to dig into this specific issue a little bit further and can bring information through the Planning and Heritage Committee specific to the building inspectors, as I noted. The other key piece that I maybe neglected to mention is our ongoing work on the zoning and development bylaw. As council knows, we just received approval on the official plan, which is a huge step forward for the community. That effort, in conjunction with our work on the zoning and development bylaw, is really to modernize our development framework for the entire community. And the zoning and development bylaw is where the rubber hits the road. And so the rules that we build in that document will make it, well, that is really our time to try and be as efficient as possible in how we regulate development. So some of the things that we talked about at the special council meeting was trying to have more as of right development versus these discretionary approval processes and additional reviews that council and the various boards and committees review. All those additional touch points with both council and committees and boards take time. They are costly for staff and therefore increase both risk and the cost to the development community. So those are all things that we are trying to take into consideration as we build a very purposeful regulatory document that will suit us in 2026 and onward.
Thank you, Michael. Councillor Bernard.
Thank you.
Your red light's on.
Just clarification, Mike or the deputy. So in 25, 26, it was forecast of 1.8 million for the salaries. I'm just following up on what Councillor Duran brought up. And so I think, Mike, what you're saying is it was split. So you get 821 and you got 841 for heritage and 821 for planning for 1.66 million. That's your total salaries for planning and heritage?
No, it's 2.2. It's in the E column. Look in the E column. Is that what it is? The consolidated number? Yeah. Is 2.2 million. Look at the, see right there? I think she just added it. Was it there all the time?
That's 25, 26.
No. E expenses, salaries and benefits, she put in it under E, 2.2 million. $2,201,000 and 827 pesos.
Okay, so so I thought there was some funding under the Housing Accelerator Fund for salaries. And if there is, are they not included in this number? Or
Deputy? Or do you want to defer to? Mike?
Thank you. Through the chair, that's correct. We actually do have a couple positions across the entire organization that are being funded through the Housing Accelerator Fund. I don't have the exact list in front of me at this moment, but offhand, I believe we were funding a fire inspector, a municipal engineer, and a couple positions, contract positions included in the planning and heritage department. We had a building official or two building official positions funded, and I believe a heritage officer as well to offset some of our increased costs to take on some of this work.
Okay, so that, the 2.2 salaries is actually higher when you bring in the housing accelerator funding.
Yeah, again, through the chair, yeah, that's correct. So our core staff would be less than that 2.2, but as part of the 2.2 would be inclusive of some of the contracts that we have funded with the department right now.
Okay, okay. So that 2.2 is not on our what, the program that we had emailed to us. Yeah. Okay. Okay, no, thank you. So it's, so the dollars are there. It's just a matter of trying to get the people, in the positions.
Yeah.
Okay, same as doctors and nurses. Okay, thank you.
Breaking news?
Yeah, sorry, I'll just maybe clarify. Just wanted to confirm that with our new financial whiz, but yeah, we had just wanted to clarify too that we had made some assumptions on salaries and benefits, knowing with our existing vacant positions, recognizing that we're likely not filling them April 1. So we've anticipated some continued vacancy until we're able to try and fill those positions.
Okay, Councillor Drawn, you got a good summary of what you asked?
Yes, I did. Thank you very much.
And our CAO would like to add to the discussion.
Thank you, Your Worship, and just to Councillor Duran's comments, I too have heard frustrations about delays, but as I look into these delays, it's not just our planning department. Our planning department works in collaboration with our other fire, police, other departments. They look for input. Some of those delays are, because of those other departments haven't responded in a timely way. We're working to build efficiencies. I just don't want planning and our team to bore the brunt of all of this, because it's a shared team effort here. We have some work to do to build better service delivery, but as part of, again, part of the efficiencies as CAO I'm hoping to accomplish, because I think we can find better ways to find timely response. It's not all just people, it's finding efficiencies in what we have.
Yes, and CAO, those departments or those other departments you mentioned, they have due diligence processes they have to follow, so quite understandable. Okay, good. Thank you there, Deputy. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to move to police, and we have Police Chief Sean Coombs. It's, what page are we on? 18. Thank you, sir.
Okay, good evening, Mayor and Council. This will be the operating budget for Charlottetown Police.
Deputy.
We're largely a status quo in terms of 26-27 operating budget, although looking at net expenditures, it's approximately an 8% increase. We've applied a 2% increase to most accounts to address inflation, along with additional increases for fuel that we were directed to do so. I'll give you a few highlights of some areas where we've increased our expenditures and some reasons why. Salary and benefits, we're at $14,291,000. It's now $15,106,000. That's a 5.7% increase, $815,000 up from 25-26 budget to plan for CPI and increases related to the new collective bargaining agreement that we've expired in December 31st. Clothing was $144,000. It's up to $184,000. And that's a 28% increase, and that is due to new hires, and those police officers need to be outfitted, and supplier cost has also gone up. And that's with doing due diligence with quoting on 3 suppliers. Advertising and communications was budgeted for $15,000 last year. It's $50,000 this year. It's a $35,000 increase. Now the staffing is in place with our new communications officer, and that is to implement communications and engagement efforts along with new signage, marketing materials, and supporting the new website that will launch this year. I've already mentioned oil and gas and geopolitical reasons for that. It was last year was 175,000. It's up to 196,000 this year. Last year's ammunition budget was 30,000. It's doubled to 60,000 this year, and that is also due to geopolitical issues and shortages around North America. Operational expenses. There's a bit of a ripple to this one. It was $100,000 last year. It's $189,000 this year. The reason for that is we purchased at the last minute two things that were related to the street crime unit. One was for the street crime unit, and the other was additional funding that was needed for the new NG 911 system that the province is implementing, and new surveillance equipment for street crime unit. NG 911 has been mandated federally, and the surveillance equipment project was approved as part of the capital budget. These 2 items will work with finance to reassign these to their proper account codes. And that's all I have. We have some new initiatives when that time comes up.
Councillor Bittard, and then Councillor Ramsey.
Thank you, Chief Coombs. I guess like others here, you're not going to get away without telling us a little bit more about your $200,000 miscellaneous bucket there, your naughty bucket. So if you could, I think it's only appropriate. I mean, it's one of the highest ones clearly. And just playing into the, to Deputy Mayor Yankoff's comments regarding, what types of expenses are being expended underneath, like things called miscellaneous. So I think it'd be only appropriate if we had a discussion around that as well, if you can, for whatever you can disclose, I guess, in the way of, in that bucket, please.
Thank you, Councillor Bittard. Absolutely, I can give you the best account possible. Within the profession of law enforcement, a lot of different things come up on a daily basis that we can't account for. I can tell you one has just come up in the last couple of days where several extra $1,000s were spent on a project that were unforeseen and had nothing to do with Charlottetown Police's investigation. It was just in relation to other services and times and dates. So we have that money built in to have that money available for when the time arises, because in our business we can't just say we don't have the money for it when it means transporting possible someone on a Canada-wide warrant across the country, or getting several detectives over to Halifax on a moment's notice. Just different things related to law enforcement and specialized projects.
Councillor Bittard, you want to follow up?
Just to say thank you, and I mean, certainly that would make sense. I mean, there's unforeseen operational costs that wouldn't fit in your each individual line item here. So I think that's appropriate, I guess, and I'm sure there's some other things. So I appreciate the some examples and understanding of that.
Okay. Councillor Ramsey, Ward 5.
No, I'm good, Your Worship. I was just going to ask the same question if you want the truth. But now the Chief explained everything perfect, and thank you, Chief, for that.
Okay. Councillor Twill, Ward 4.
Chief, for your presentation. I want to go to line item 30, the Humane Society, the annual contract. So we're clocking in around $135,000. Can you please give me a thumbnail sketch as to what the mandate is for that contract?
Thank you for the question, Councillor Tweel. So we've always had this expense, line item expense in our police budget. It's only up 2% from last year. I believe your question is what is related within that. It'd be best answered by reviewing the agreement that we've signed. We just have one on the CAO's desk for 26-27. It's numerous services that they supply to Charlottetown Police because we don't do anything with animals, so they're who we go to as the next line of investigation. And they have built out their service. They do have, it's not just handlers, they do have investigators, and there has been a few incidences in the city of Charlottetown where there's been some dog attacks and some removal of animals for inhumane practices within our city, and we only take a very periphery part of that investigation, and Humane Society does the rest. So they've kind of, without much of an increase in their actual ask, they actually are providing more service than they used to in the past.
Follow up there, Councillor Tweel. Yeah.
Well, I want to talk about, one of the issues that's come to the forefront here in the last recent months is dogs off leash. Victoria Park, some of our other parks, rails to trails. A lot of our residents don't feel safe. And what they're looking for enforcement. They're looking for predictability and consistency, and I'm not trying to be critical, they're just not seeing it. So with an expenditure of $135,000, you said there's a new contract on the CAO's desk that he's looking for?
That is correct.
Okay, 2026. So do we wait till the CAO looks over that contract and then bring it to council for approval, or what's the procedure? Because I'd like to see some improvements and enhancements and some again, predictability, so that the residents know, okay, there's an expenditure, $135,000. What exactly is the mandate, and what are the services that are provided? So we have those discussions whether residents will know exactly what the contract calls for. So I don't know, you or the CAO can answer that?
Your Worship, this is, a discussion we've had many times over the years, and the crutch of why we pay for this service is we don't have the facilities to house animals, dogs, certainly, or the expertise for dog control or enforcement of the Dog Control Act. So for us to build that capacity and the ability to house animals and treat animals and all of that would be much more than the contracted cost. But this is an agreement that's been in place for 20 plus years, I think, and has increased 2% year over year. And we do relate to concerns that are raised from citizens, and we'd hope the Humane Society responds accordingly. But we can certainly make the agreement available, but this is good value for the dollar.
So it's good value for the dollar, but again, we have a lot of parks here in our city. Victoria Park, the biggest one, lots of activities, and just some of the correspondence we're having with the residents. They don't feel safe. People are not respecting the policies in terms of having dogs on leash, particularly in Victoria Park. So in terms of having a presence in the park, like, what can we tell our residents in terms of fulfilling their expectation. It's 135,000. You said it's good value. How do we measure that? How do we measure good value, not good value? How do we measure that when we constantly hear from our residents that they want to see a presence and they want to see enforcement? So how do we measure that?
Your Worship, yeah, I can certainly weigh in to say that, enforcement is just one component. I think you've seen our Parks and Rec Department increase awareness and education on dogs off leash, which is, a shared responsibility across municipalities. Dog owners themselves and the public have to play a role in improving safe environments for everyone. When I look at, we get reports from the Humane Society about the number of calls, and again, it goes back to our ability to provide these services. We are a full-service community, expectation from the public to deliver these types of services. This has been debated many times over the years, and this has been determined the best way to deliver these services to our citizens without incurring significant costs to the municipality.
And Chief Sean Coombs, under the dog control bylaw, right? It says dog control officer means a Charlottetown police officer or a bylaw enforcement officer. So there is powers under this bylaw, and I think under enforcement, there's fines also that could be administered. So there could be a collab. I know that it's not only Councillor Tweel that brings up, a lot of people bring it up. So I think we just have to find a path forward, and it's something that we should look at very seriously, working in collaboration with Humane Society. Just as was said earlier, we don't have dog kennels. If you get into that, that's a whole new infrastructure. It's like the cat house they used to have up in Parliament Hill just to keep the mice away. I'm not going to get into that. Anyways, that's something to take under consideration. Councillor Pack?
Yeah, forgive me if this has been covered, but I was out, I had to have a sidebar conversation with Mike out there, but I had asked this question, I don't understand what the contractual agreement is for. Councillor Tweel was talking about enforcement, and we do have I get the whole comprehensive approach of trying to educate, trying to inform, trying to put signage, have citizens take on their responsibility, their role, and to do enforcement. But I guess what I don't know is what's the contractual expectations or obligations of that 135,000? I guess that was kind of just my, and again, I know it predated my time in council, so I really don't know what are we asking of them and what are we getting for that 135,000?
Well, or if I could just weigh in there, certainly I think that, specific contract arrangements are better discussed at the committee level. Maybe the chair can put it on. I think this is a bucket of money to cover, whether it's Humane Society or anyone else. We're going to need money, and this is the forecasted amount for it now. We can bring it to practice services to discuss the details. But I think tonight is about earmarking.
Yeah, and I'm good with that. I'd just like to know what it's for. I'm okay with leaving it there. I'm not questioning that. And I'm not saying that it's not value. I just don't know what it entails. So if we could get that at the committee level, that'd be great. Thank you.
Councillor Tweel, you want to wrap it up? Yeah. Yeah? Go ahead.
Just to I guess, close on this topic for now. I appreciate that it's going to be on the Protective Services Committee for an upcoming meeting.
Yeah.
I'd like CAO and our chief to look at some options in terms of the contract that we have with the Humane Society. I'm not suggesting we take all of what they do in terms of housing animals and some of the things that they do. I just wonder if we could look at a hybrid. The hybrid would consist of, maybe we have our own, someone within the police department go out and respond, to dogs that are off leash. We have a dog bylaw. I'd like to know how that lines up with the contract with the Humane Society. And then maybe we can create some kind of a hybrid where we do have that consistency. The city's growing. We have a lot of parks in our city. We have the rails and trails, and of course Victoria Park. And then maybe we could work out some kind of an arrangement where they keep doing the things that they do well, and we have someone designated like in the police department where they take on that responsibility and they go at that. I mean, we've got a lot of parks in our city. And again, Victoria Park, the rails and trails, the city's growing immensely. All I ask, would you just look at 2 or 3 options and see what that would look like and just weigh the pros and cons of each one? I'm just trying to be reasonable here. Thank you.
And we brought up the dog control bylaw. Has section subsection 1.15, run at large, means an on-leash dog. And page 9 lays out the enforcement. Up to $500 minimum, $500 maximum, first offense. So it's there, but, we'll have a good discussion.
Yeah, but Mr. Mayor?
Yep.
Residents are not seeing the enforcement.
Nope, that's
what
why
they're
I'm,
not seeing.
that's why I'm going back to the dog bylaw.
We can have the dog bylaw, we can
Yep.
have
Yep,
all kinds of things on paper. They're not seeing the enforcement.
understood. That's raising up just where we can go on this issue. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Chief. Police Chief Sean Coombs. Public Works. Councillor Twill, do you want to introduce it?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
If you look at the capital budget that was proposed here last week by our general manager and his assistant, it was a pretty detailed presentation.
No, thank you. Thank you very much.
I would expect the same thing. I know we had our deliberations at the committee level. So, Albert, floor is yours.
Okay.
Thank you, Councillor Twill. Through to the rest of council, I guess I'll go through line by line item, but again, just to draw attention to the total net increase, we're looking on average at a total 2% net increase to the Public Works operating budget. So that's 2%, but $486,000. And then to go through, so just a 2% increase in salaries and benefits. Again, like Amy had mentioned at the start, we do have some vacancies to fill, so we're looking to fill those. No change in professional consulting, an 11% increase in office supplies, but again, that's only a $2,500 increase there. $1,000 increase in staff development, $12,000 increase in travel and transportation. That includes just conferences and other events. Meeting expenses, no increase, no change. Clothing, you'll see a $15,000 or 27% increase. That's part of that's mainly due to some of the new positions that we've acquired under our QP union, mostly being the arborist positions and the specialty clothing needed for those jobs. Our AVL tracking, no increase, no change. Our insurance claims, no change. Urban beautification, you'll see a 5% increase. Again, this has slightly to do with basically generally CPI and then some increases in the new positions for arborists. So equipment, maintenance, and then a bump for the entrance signs maintenance that we have throughout the city that falls under this section as well. No change in tools, no change in water and sewer, no change in cleaning supplies. We don't have a change in gas and oil. You'll see a 30% increase in equipment repairs and rentals, or $6,600. Part of the repairs, rentals, and equipment for the tree program and CUPE falls under that as well. Vehicle maintenance and repairs, you'll see a 2% increase there, basically just CPI. No increase in maintenance, leased equipment, or snow removal. A 2% increase in street cleaning. And then the major increase you'll see in the budget is under street resurfacing and repair. So a $139,000 increase from last year's budget. That's 26%, and that's based on the in-house asphalt pickup that we do for our crews for the summer patching service. So you'll see a bump in that from last year, and that was mainly due to what we saw that was needed from this year, and we had to acquire a budget transfer earlier on. So no increase in traffic markings and signs, no increase in sidewalk and curb, no increase in stormwater control, street lighting, no increase, traffic and parking, no increase. So overall, the net expenditure there is just 2%, and then the municipal buildings portion of the Public Works operating budget, salaries and benefits 2%, so just CPI, and then travel and transportation, no increase. The utilities section for municipal buildings, so that includes heating, fuel, electric, water, and sewer. You'll see a 8% increase of $54,700, and that's, as Amy mentioned before, well, you'll see the 7% heating and fuel cost, and or the 10% heating and fuel costs, and the 7% maritime electric increase. No increase in cleaning supplies. Slight increase 2% in service contracts. No increase in property taxes. Slight increase in maintenance. Then public art and maintenance, no increase, and snow removal at our municipal buildings at 2% increase. So overall, that brings the municipal buildings portion to an average of a 3% increase across that. If there's any questions or details, happy to answer.
Okay. Councillor Twill, do you want the questions to go through to you, or do you want to just defer to them? Just right to them. Okay, sir, no problem. Did you want to speak first, Councillor McAleer, because you're the... Yes, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, and thank you, Albert. And just to clarify, you did the line-by-line thing there. We're just going to maybe speak to the variances, or unless if maybe for the balance, if we could kind of stick to that, and if there's anything, yeah, great, thank you.
Okay. Councillor Bernard.
Thank you. Just one thing, Albert, thank you very much for this. Again, I'll bring up the gas, same as last year. Is there any conversation about what's going on now globally, and should be increasing that?
Yeah, thank you. Through the chair to Councillor Bernard. We did have discussions. I think just in looking at our actuals and our bills, we did have some additional funding, and we're looking to not get to what we anticipated last year for last year's budget. So I think we're going to have, and I think we already, part of the $80,000 which we transferred earlier for the street resurfacing and repair came from that budget, because there was significant money left over there. So,
okay.
I think we already have an inherent buffer. Again, I'm not sure why that is. It could be due to that we've changed our fleet over to hybrid.
It's shown 550,000 budget, 550,000 used, so there wasn't 550,000 used. That was transferred out for something else. So.
Yeah.
So do you know what you did use for fuel at the end of the year?
We don't have the final projections yet, but I think...
But you're okay with that amount?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, just remember the crude prices, how they're going right now, don't affect just your gas and oil. It also affects asphalt. right across the board. Plastic pipe, HDPE. Councillor, no, that's steel culverts. Councillor McKinnon. Councillor McKinnon.
Thank you, Your Worship. And I appreciate you going through line by line, Albert. It helps to me what everything. I was going to ask also about the gas and oil, so thank you, Councillor Bernard. Line 47, and you also, for Deputy Mayor, you don't have a miscellaneous, which is great. But could you break down service contracts, 164? What does that entail?
Thank you. So that falls under the municipal buildings. So that would be our snow clearing contracts. Some of our buildings that we have contracts for, for yearly maintenance, plumbers, basically any contracts that when we need external services to maintain and operate, keep our buildings going. So that's where that would fall under.
Councillor Matart, Ward 2.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Albert, for your report. Outside of the current salaries and benefits, your next biggest expense is snow removal to the tune of $4 million a year. And I noticed that you are, that's basically what you budgeted for in 25-26. You forecasted that for the 25-26, and you're expecting that. So does that lead me to believe that the snow removal through the contracts you have it's fixed price, so you know what that's going to be yearly? Or, and then have you consulted with those contractors for the, I feel like a lot of echo there, the 26-27 increase in budgets in rates? Like, who sets the rates for that? I don't know if it's my mic or... So who sets the rates for that? Does the city set the rate, or does the contractor set the rates? And I would have expected to see some fluctuation between year over year on that. And then again, is it when you pay for snow removal to a particular contractor, is it a set price, and then it doesn't matter how much snow it is, they just plow snow from November till that we don't have any more snow?
Thank you, Councilor Matart. Yeah, so a few parts to that question, I guess, and a lot of it does have to do with the weather. So it is always an estimate. So the contracts are up for renewal. The contracts are a set price with a basic CPI increase, but part of them they do have a percentage that is allocated for them, essentially being on call, and no matter what the weather, they're going to get a certain part, and then there is also parts of the contract that are dependent on the situation we have. So if they're going out to do more salting and scraping versus, pushing snow back or doing anything like that, then it increases. And also we do pay for their salt that they spread across the city too. So that line item, as I've seen being here before, doesn't change too much year over year, and it is always dependent on the type of winter that we have. So there's been years here where I've seen a surplus there because we've had a great winter, and then other years where, we've had to go in and ask for budget transfers from other accounts. So this year we're anticipating that even though it hasn't been a hard, a winter full of too much snow accumulation, the freeze-thaw cycles has probably increased the salt usage a little bit more. So we're anticipating, we don't have the final bills in yet. The contracts go until April 15th, and then again, it is weather dependent there as well, but we're anticipating that it'll be, fully actualized at this point.
Yeah, it's a good point. 2015, they went way over. Snowmageddon went in a deficit and had to, I think, project a deficit. Go ahead.
Thank you, Worship. I guess that was to my point. It seemed like it was, $4 million locked in type of deal, and that's what we could expect every year. But now through the explanation,
Yeah.
that's just if all things, are normalized, and if we get into a situation, we could be more, we could be less.
Oh, yeah.
Generally coming in probably right around where you're budgeting on an average winter. And then if we get into an extreme situation, we would be looking at potentially more.
Yeah.
Potentially, okay.
Just saying, Council Bernard, 2015, the snow removal budget just went, what, through the roof?
We had to run a deficit budget.
I know.
The province allowed us, and we got on track the next year. But that was, at that time, I think it was $4.3 million.
Yeah.
It cost us, and we had $2 million budgeted. But that was, yeah.
Councillor Kevin Ramsey, Ward 5.
Thank you. Thank you for this, Albert. Albert, we're talking about snow removal, and we contract out a lot of it, I guess. But they're paid no matter what happens, right? Like if there's no snow falls, or like we still have to pay them, right?
A certain percentage, yes.
Oh,
yeah.
just a certain
Yeah,
percentage, okay.
Yeah, there's a calculation where they do get paid because we're essentially asking them to be prepared and ready
Right.
and staffed and have the equipment.
Yeah.
And then when there is a weather event, and depending on the event, that does change, and the amount of events and everything too, so
Okay.
yeah.
Because I just figure, when you use your own personal house, for example, and you have someone going to blow your driveway for $400 a year, like he's getting his $400. I mean, no matter what happens, right? If it rains all winter or what. Okay, thank you.
And you don't give them a tip?
Oh, yeah. No, Joe Louis.
There is one concern I brought up with you, Albert, and that is the amount of salt that was used this year. And I know the fluctuation in the weather, pushed it because of icy conditions, but a lot of salt was put down, and that's harder on the asphalt too. Anyways, just keep that in mind. Any questions? Any more? Okay, Councilor Bernard.
Just clarification, I'm just hearing what Councilor Ramsey was asking, but that 4.1 million is not just contractors. That's contractors plus the city and hauling the snow into downtown, yeah, okay.
Okay. Thank you, Albert, and we'll see you at the committee. When is the next committee meeting? When is the next committee meeting? Keeps being pushed off. Okay. And here is water and wastewater. Where's Josh? Here's our. There we go. Yeah. You still there, Councillor Drawn?
Yes, I am, Mayor Brown.
Did you
Thank
want to
for-
introduce, or do you just want to turn it right over to Josh?
Turn it right over to Josh, please.
Okay.
He made the numbers. Thank you.
Josh is the numbers man. Go ahead, Josh.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Mayor. Similar to other departments, I'll kind of touch on the highlights first, and then if anybody has questions, we're more than happy to try to answer them for you here this evening. Today, or right now, I guess I'll look at the 26-27 budget and kind of highlight the major changes. At this time, we are looking at a slight increase in the expected revenue for 26-27. That is primarily due to CPI increase, as well as a forecasted increase in consumption, as well as increased flow through our treatment facility. So we do have fees collected through that. There is about $1 million, I think just shy of $1 million increase in our revenue expected. That's about a 6% increase. If we dive down into our expenses, overall, we are looking at about a 4% increase in expense. It works out to be about $750,000. The most significant piece there happens with our salaries. And that is just plainly due to the increases in wages and benefits, updates to our collective agreements, as many other departments have reflected in their budgets. And that accounts for about 50% of our expected increases and expenses. As well, you will see an increase in our long-term debt, about $116,000, increases in our depreciation of about $50,000. We are expecting, as most other departments, increases in our electricity or utility costs. We have projected about $43,000 increase there. Our gas, oil, and fuel as well, we have projected about $17,000. And then there's other areas of smaller increases such as asphalt, where we are projecting about a $10,000 increase. That is the highlights for our changes in the budgets. I will briefly discuss the forecast, as no doubt that is an item that kind of sticks out a little bit. So in the budget we had for expenses in 25-26, we had 16.33 million, and our forecasted expenses come the end of this fiscal is 13.8 million. So there's about 2.3 million that is coming across as a surplus. That I wouldn't refer to as a savings in the least. It merely comes across as work uncompleted due to kind of factors outside of our hands. We did have a labor disruption that took place during the majority of our construction season. So there were salaries, benefits, as well as some other vacancies throughout the year that we had, and that is the lion's share of what that surplus is. There is just under $370,000 in vacancies is what we had projected this year, and that's due to several positions that are difficult to fill, and we are trying to. So that is one element to it. The other element is our labor disruption. So we had about 3 months where a significant portion of our labor force were out. That as well, in addition to the wages, affected other line items throughout our budget. Mainly our items that we would be spending significant dollars on. Staff development, we seen a decrease of approximately 30,000. Meeting expenses, we did see a decrease there as well. We did have a decrease in clothing, about $30,000. And then we get down into the larger items where we have equipment repairs and rentals. We are projecting to see about a $190,000 decrease there. Our water and sewer infrastructure repairs and maintenance, we are projecting about a $250,000 decrease, as well as in our repairs and building maintenance, we are projecting about a $280,000 decrease. So this isn't a savings per se to the utility, it is simply work uncompleted, and all that work will have to get shifted into future years. As work like that gets completed in future years, the rates increase, wages increase. So it does cost the utility more down the road. It does look like a savings today, but as that work is completed into the future, it actually will cost the utility more money. So it is best to try to complete our full operating budget as we can, but just unfortunately due to some things outside of our control, we have to roll with the punches per se. But I will open that up to any questions, and I'm happy to try to answer.
Okay. Councilor McKinnon.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm going to mention again, Kevin Ramsey knows where I'm going with this. With the backhoe rentals, it's a point with me. I just keep asking it. And I know with the last committee report or our committee meeting that you said that you'll bring me a report. So I'm just asking for some more details on that. Can we go back 5 years to see what it has cost your corporation for backhoe rentals? I did get out and get a price for the same size backhoe that the city's using right now is $150,000. The chair mentioned about maintenance. Your 2003 or 2023 backhoe cost less than $1,000 in maintenance last year. So can I also get an expenditure on that? I still don't think we're utilizing the taxpayers' dollars properly. We can own our own equipment and be an asset rather than paying out rental fees. Thank you.
Can I answer that, Mayor Brown?
You're the chair of the Standing Committee for Water and Wastewater. Go right ahead there, Chairman.
Thank you. To Councillor McKinnon there, we did discuss this at our last committee meeting, and we did put $100,000 in for a rental for the backhoe. And like you said, to buy a new one's you say it's $1,000, and then you have to have someone run it. So an operator could be anywhere from 75 to 100,000, with overtime and stuff like that. So right now you're way ahead of the 75 to 80,000 or 90,000 that we project, which would be an extra one. A lot of times the operator could be out doing one thing, and the person that we hire would be out doing another project. So you'd have both of them going at the same time. It just doesn't make sense to the manager. And we agreed with him that to get a full-time operator, pay his wages, pay his benefits, Blue Cross, everything like that, his pension. We can hire someone to come in and do the job in a fiscally responsible manner. So that's what he's looked at for the number of years. I know you keep asking and we keep telling you that, but that's well within your right to ask that. But every year we come back and tell you the same thing, and until I guess it's shown that the manager is wrong, then we'll just go by what he says. So I don't want to dismiss your opinion, but if we keep asking him and the director, what can we do, and they come back and tell us this is the best way, then I don't know how to answer your question. Thank you.
Just before you answer that, or before you give a comment, it is now 8:04 PM. I need a resolution to extend. Moved by Councillor Bernard, second by Councillor McKinnon. All in favor? Councillor
In favor?
Okay, Councillor McKinnon, you want to follow up?
Just quickly, no, thank you, Councillor Duran, for your explanation, and yes, I bring it up every year, and thank you, and you do respond. That's why this year I am asking for a back history of what the taxpayers are spending on this rental. We do have staff with the city that are trained as operators. I'm not saying going out and buy a new one, we do have staff there, so, and they are trained to operate a backhoe. Myself, I'm trained to operate a backhoe. You don't have to be a rocket scientist, so it's not hard to do. So just responding back to you, I just want some back history back, to get the reports back, to find out how much we've spent over the past previous years. And if it's all good and good, I'll leave it alone. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Josh, pretty good report. Does Mr. McEwen want to say anything? No, we'll just leave Mr. McEwen there. Okay. Just before we move on, in the long-term debt, I have it here. Is it 131,216,000? Right? And that's up from, it was 127 million the year before.
Yes, Your Worship, that is correct. I believe in that number. It's not reflecting the current long-term debt that we've incurred since the beginning of the year.
This is the audited statements. And on page 26 of the long-term debt under the notes, it does have long-term debt is expected to be repaid over the next 5 years. And the principal portion is all laid out there, 7 million, 7.4 million. And if you look at our long-term debt, I go back to our total assessment, and thanks to Isaac, he gave it to me there a couple of weeks ago. We're at $4.3 billion total assessment, right? So under the MGA, if we're 12% debt ratio to our assessment, it should be, if it's 12% or more, we're in a crisis. We're not even near that, correct? You get something there too, sir?
Also, Your Worship, we put the table of, in the budget book.
Page 144 in our
It'll be in
25,
the schedule.
25, 26 budget, yeah. No, it's good, they're good questions because people are always asking about debt and, you want to take care of it. Okay.
Your Worship, if I could just weigh in at that opportune time.
Yes.
Just so we talk about paying debt down. It really, paying debt down relies on our ability to pay debt down, right? How much, the city has to spend at the end of the day. So that's why we need to be physically responsible. You can pay down debt aggressively, or you can do it slowly, depend on your fiscal ability to do so. So just food for thought.
Councillor McAleer and then Councillor Matard.
Yeah, no, I'm just, I guess, kind of repeat, I do think this is just a good piece of information to have that we'll present, and I think it easily probably done on a one-pager where we are, where their long-term debt, and just this exact thing. So I don't think it's, it's going to be easily done. It perhaps should have had it, should have been on it before this, but we'll see that, as Chair of Finance, I'll express that with the staff, and we'll certainly get it at committee level, get it in front of council in the next meeting or two, and then it should be part of this annual process.
Councillor Matard.
Yeah, just on that then, I guess going back and great that we do have it here in front of us now. So if I do look at the 25-26 interest shows for a debt servicing is 5.220023, which matches what the interest of long-term debt on page 10 of our digital. But again, where you don't see is where we're paying the 4723, like the actual principal of that as well, right? So if there's the total interest and principal was 9.9 million last year, 25-26. So what am I missing when I don't see the 4.72 where that's being paid on the principal? Where are we paying the 9.9 million?
Through his worship to Councilor Matard. So it's really just comes down to that what we're viewing tonight is an income statement. The difference in what you're going to see in principal is on a different accounting statement, the balance sheet. So that's really just a holding account to show like our assets and liabilities. Not something that we review as part of the overall budget process, but I believe all that information is included in the budget book. Yeah. But moving forward, with your feedback, we can make sure that information is brought to you when we present this next year. Lots of notes to prepare better for next year.
Although that wasn't critical or anything.
Nope.
Thank you. It was appreciate accepting the feedback. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So the next step in this process. Is that correct? Well, I think Councillor Matard has said before, sometimes we just go off the rail. You can come and go as you want. We just want to keep it going. Yeah. Okay, Councillor Beck, do you have a point to add before we get into this?
Yeah, I guess I'm just wondering, I mean, we got through the operational budget. Now we're having to decide what we're going to be axing from new initiatives, right? That's what the next goal is?
CAO and Councillor McAleer, which...
Yeah, and Amy, jump in here if I am not correct, but, we have a $2.3 million surplus, combined surplus to spend. That's what we have to spend on new initiatives. Our total new initiatives identified by all our departments totals about 3.2. So obviously we can't do them all. Right. So we have to make choices. And so this is the process where we do that.
So we received the recommendations, right? From, which was great with the red line we have red and green in that little chart that you gave us. I'm wondering if it's worth our time to recess, or it's worth our while to recess this meeting. It'll allow us some time to look at all the new initiatives, and then we can reconvene and then, kind of take a look at what the recommendations are and say, are these good recommendations to do, or are they in line, or should we be looking at a different initiative? Again, we just got the information here today. I'd like to have a little bit of time to go through I guess it's page 20, wherever it starts. What time page starts on page 22 or 23 and goes pretty much right through to the end, right?
If you look at page 3, it gives a summary.
Yes, and then, so we can compare the detailed information from page 23 to 51, look at the recommendations that were given by the chief, and then kind of get our head around it a little bit better, and then come back with a prepared. I just feel a little bit more prepared to have the discussion, as opposed to trying to go through it right now. After, we're already 3 hours and 15 minutes into the meeting. Could be good to come back with a fresh set of eyes, a little bit more informed, a little bit better understanding of what we're actually having to not exclude, I guess, is probably what we're trying to do. We'd like to include all the new initiatives, but we can't. So anyway, I would be up for that. So I would move that we recess, and that we, I think we have tentative dates scheduled in our calendar already. And then we could reconvene and tackle this last part. Because this is the only part that would be remaining, correct, on the operational budget?
Right. It is. But do we have general agreement?
I'm just putting it
Let me
out.
finish. Do we have general agreement on what Amy presented tonight under the operational budget? Do we have general agreement?
I have a question
So-
on that.
Okay, you do.
Whenever I'm.
I'll second Councillor Beck's motion.
To defer the meeting.
Yeah, because I'd
To
like,
recess the meeting.
We'll have to recall the meeting. But anyways,
Yeah.
we can't recess? No. It's not a procedural thing we can do.
Oh, okay.
move,
We have to
So what's the wording that I would put? Am I,
defer the meeting.
I think your worship's point is, to get some, if we're going to, call this meeting adjourned and continue on another night, that we at least come to consensus on what we have discussed, so we're not rehashing.
Sure.
Going backwards.
yeah, I'm comfortable with what was presented here tonight from the operational side of things. So going back to my point that I made earlier, I would be okay in approving in principle what was discussed on the operational side of things, and that would be in keeping, that will go along with the request to adjourn or defer or whatever.
I think,
Whatever we're-
CAO, you're also talking about discussing the new initiatives, and then we would look at coming back. Is that what you're saying? Just trying to get a
I think,
clarification?
what we've discussed tonight is our status quo budget. And the next step is to, look at the new initiatives. And but if we can come to a consensus on, are we happy approving or, in principle, the status quo, then, then the next meeting, isolate the new initiatives and see what we can decide on to how to spend that money or not spend any of that money.
Right, so, okay.
Okay, thank you. So just want to be clear, though, before we make that decision. When we look at page one and then carries over into page two of the digital copy, we're looking at, and if I understand correctly, we've added in staff's recommendation for new initiatives that total $1.77 million, correct? Which then brings us to a 189,149 surplus. So if we just walked out here today and said we accept everything as is, accept staff's recommendations, we'd be $200,000 to the good.
Correct.
Okay? That's all I want to make sure, because if we go home and think about this, read more, and, we start saying, geez, we might want 10 more of those things, we just need to know, I need to know in my head that I'm adding more money onto that. So that is included in there right now, staff's recommendations. So if we change any of those, remember last year we were doing this exercise, we had a live spreadsheet going, we were adding numbers in, it was showing.
We won't go back to
No,
last year.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
it was showing, take away,
Last
we were
year
taking
was
away,
a
we were adding, taking away.
Much better
adding.
process.
And so that is, Amy, can you please confirm, I know you're shaking your head at me, so is that correct? The staff recommendation of $1.7 million and is added into that, and if we do nothing else but accept that, we're 200,000 surplus right now.
Yes, to His Worship through to Councillor Matard. So just to clarify, on the first sheet that you're seeing, the first three columns, similar to what the CAO is saying, is that is our status quo budget without any new initiatives. So if we were to leave it as is, we would end up the year with almost a 2.4
2.38,
surplus.
yeah, 2.4,
The only
yeah.
thing then that would change would be the
we
total
do.
cost of the initiatives. Like you said, the 1.77 totals what we've recommended, or the CAO and senior leadership have recommended on the new initiatives tabs that we color coded. So as you said, the only thing that will change is if the initiatives, which ones change.
Which one's changed? Okay, I just need to know that, so when I'm thinking
Clear.
about what I might want to put forward, it might have huge financial implications. Okay.
Councillor
Thank you.
McKinnon?
That's all I needed.
Okay, I'm just wondering, and not opposed to what Councillor Beck is saying, but since we have staff here, can we have the staff discuss the new initiatives? We take that away
Yeah.
at the end of the meeting. We'll have that information in our brain, and then they don't have to come back. We can discuss the numbers amongst council
And Councillor
at the next
McKinnon,
meeting.
I think that's what the CAO is saying. We have staff here. They've been here since 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
To bring them back in. Councillor Bernard, no, Councillor Twill, sorry.
Yeah, like, I want time to review the initiatives too. So I understand staff's here, but as Councillor Beck pointed out, we had another night scheduled. I think it'd be prudent and essential for us to take that time. I mean, I don't want to rush into discussion on the new initiatives. I mean, it's a status quo budget. I understand all that, but I'd like time to reflect on these new initiatives. I mean, it's pretty important. Staff, CAO are making recommendations, but in the final analysis, the decision lies with council. And it's imperative that I just want to review it for my own peace of mind.
I'm not taking that away from you.
Yeah,
No.
okay. So let's leave it at that for now.
Yeah. Councillor Bernard?
Yeah, I think for me, I mean, if everybody's okay with the operational budget, and staff is all here, they've been here all night, because this didn't take up a whole lot of time when we met at finance. These are pretty down to earth and pretty significant decisions that senior staff have made. So, I mean, if we're going to listen to staff go through it all, then maybe you have a better idea. Like if you still want to come back once they go through it all. I think a decision can be made tonight if everybody agreed on the operation of the budget so far. Because they've been here all night, they've been waiting all night. And this really doesn't take a lot of time, in my opinion, but once they go through it and you have any questions on it, we didn't make any changes to this. Like when this was financed, it just made perfect sense. So that's my 2 cents.
And again, I want to appreciate staff for staying here. Some of them are staying here because they have positions in these new initiatives, and they want to know, are we getting it? Are we not? Are we on hold? So again, I think the process is, we did this last year, but I have to say, Amy, this year, again, like the capital budget, you walked through everything along with all the managers, did a great job. Councillor Twill, you want to wrap it up?
Well, again, I know staff's here, but we're here too, right? We're here too, and I don't think it's an unreasonable request. Let's just digress as to what took place here tonight. We approved the status quo budget. These are some big ticket items, and it's not an unreasonable request for us, to take a day or a couple of days or meet early next week, and then we'll come back here, we'll be fresh, ready to roll.
Okay.
I mean, it's 8:30 now.
There's a motion on, yeah, I know. There's a motion on the floor, moved by Councillor Beck, second by Councillor Twill to adjourn the meeting. Correct? Yep. Questions to the motions.
So then what approach would we take if we stay tonight? We're going to have the manager of the area come up and speak to the initiative and allow council to ask 25 minutes worth of questions on each one. And then we're here at midnight. I guess I'm just trying to understand that if we make this commitment, that this is what's going to happen if we do that. And I'm prepared to stay here all night. It doesn't matter to me. I'd like to hear their explanation of it, whether it's tonight or another night. I think we just need to understand it's likely to be a long process. You said it went through finance, Councillor, but that was finance, not asking, there was not 7 other people asking questions there on that. So in fairness to that process, it could get fairly lengthy. So I'm just, I'm prepared to stay here, so, because I'd like to hear from them, whether it's tonight or another night, so.
Yeah, just to tag on to that, I think we might go kind of what Councilor Bernard, I might look through this and say, oh, yeah, that makes sense, and I may have no question, I have no idea. Or I might look through it and it might prompt a whole bunch of questions that I'm just not aware of. And, I don't sit on finance. I don't think, Councilor Bernard, I don't think you sit on finance either. So, again, I'm not saying that the initiatives do not warrant or the decisions made are not the right ones, but I'm just not, I think that Councilor Matard has a point that this could go on till 10:30 at night, and then we're sitting here trying to make sense of something, and we're getting foggy, and then we're not making the right decision. So I think with a fresh set of eyes, a clearer head, and a little bit better understanding of what we're actually being asked here and what the initiatives are, I think it would serve us well. And the next meeting may be a whole lot shorter than this one could potentially be. And anyway, that's just my thoughts, rationale for the request.
CAO?
Thank you, Your Worship. I think we made great progress here tonight. I think we established a new tone and delivery method for our budget, and we've all benefited from that. But the night is lingering on, and I wouldn't want to change the experience of tonight and the momentum we have, just because we're getting tired. So I'd certainly, endorse, having another meeting, just for the sake of making sure we're not, rushing through what are important decisions here. And I think, again, Worship, just in the interest of continuing some positivity in what was a very arduous process in years past, I would,
Councilor McAleer.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. As Councillor Bernard said, at the committee level, we did discuss, we did vet, we did at the end of the day did agree with the recommendations of senior management on the list that you have here before us. So, and I'm okay with continuing. I'm okay with pausing and coming back by all means. However, as Chair of Finance, unless the committee feels different, and I don't think they do at this point, I'd encourage you to think about the making your decisions to see if you can support what staff and what the recommendation is in front of you here in terms of the yeses and nos on the initiatives. Thank you.
Okay, question called? Question? Okay, all those in favor of deferring, adjourning the meeting? Adjourning the meeting.
So we just reconvene.
No, but we're voting. Who's in favor? There's a resolution on the floor. Yeah. Okay, who's against? Okay, Councillor McAleer, yea or nay? All in favor to defer. To adjourn? Well, why don't you raise your hand? Okay. Okay, let's do the vote over again. Who's in favor of adjourning the meeting? Please put your hands up. Okay, who's against? Councillor Drawn, yea or nay?
In favor?
Okay. Well, Julie's not here. Are you in favor of adjourning the meeting? Councillor Drawn, yea or nay?
In favor, yeah.
Okay, 5-4 to adjourn the meeting. Okay, hold on, just don't go yet. Yeah. So